Matterley Basin for the Fox 74 show. This is the first time we are here live in the pits, giving you all the action from behind the scenes. We're going to be on site here at Matterley Basin for the weekend, St. Jean d'Angely and Tuschenthal. We're going to be bringing you so much behind the scenes info, and also guests are going to be coming in. And my co-host today, the one, the only, Mr. Jeff Emig.
How's it going, Georgia?
It's going brilliant. I can't believe we're here in the pits. I mean, the action this weekend is going to be fantastic. It's one of the best tracks on the schedule as well. England, Matterley Basin, you and I, Fox. Brilliant.
Yeah, and the studio that we have set up here is just absolutely amazing. Lots of good memories, some things with Tim Gajser, Fox Instinct boot, Tim Gajser's bike, and I'm really excited for the guests that we're going to have on this weekend. Kind of not your average guest, and we're also going to have a lot of fun with this show. So this isn't going to be your average show. We're doing like a straight-up interview. So you're definitely going to want to stay tuned to what we have in store over the next 2 days.
And we've had one round, obviously, that's already happened 3 weeks ago. Argentina, Patagonia. It was great. We caught up with it. But give me your thoughts from the first round.
Well, Georgia, it probably wasn't surprising that Red Bull KTM had winners in the MXGP and MX2. Tony Cairoli, 9-time world champion, goes out and wins the opening round dominantly and is searching for that 10th world title, which would tie him, of course, for the all-time record with the Belgian Stefan Everts. And then, you know, in the MX2, Prado was just absolutely amazing once again. But the issue, Prado's got a problem with his back. He's got a little injury to his back. So the word here in the paddock is that he's out for this weekend. So how will that change the MX2 class?
I think that's a huge thing, and we only heard the news of this yesterday. But he injured his shoulder before Patagonia, I believe, and has a hematoma under his scapula, which he's going to go and check with the doctors on Tuesday. So for him, he might race the next round, but they're just going to see what's happening. But obviously him out, and then Jeffrey Herlings as well with the injury to his ankle. Yeah,
so Herlings obviously one of these riders that's just so polarizing, can be dominant, and so with that injury to his foot, he misses some opening round. So what happens to him the rest of the season? But to me, when you really talk about like the cream of the crop, the best guys in the world, you've got Cairoli who won the first round, and the question is, can Tim Gajser, our guy here at Fox Racing, he's on that HRC Honda, can he challenge Cairoli for this championship? I believe that this is Tim's favorite track. Actually, I think that's one of our questions here later on today when we're going to visit with Tim. And so this is going to be a really interesting weekend. This is the first round here back in mainland Europe, right? All the teams are here. There's a lot of excitement around this event. And I'm just stoked that we have the Fox 74 show to bring all of the action here from Matterley Basin to the fans all around the world.
That's what's cool. I mean, right now we've got people coming up and having a look, and they're going to see the guests. Speaking of which, we've mentioned Tim a lot, but we're going to get to hear from the man himself later on in the show, Tim Gajser. I'm going to bring in his girlfriend as well, because I think we need to get some behind the scenes.
So a new element there, huh?
Oh, yes. We're going to
Is she going to spill the beans on what Tim's like away from the track?
That's what we're hoping.
We hope so.
Yep.
Yeah, also, and then Roger Harvey, he's a HRC consultant, so once again, a lot of this, he's got a lot of information, should be a great interview, so we're stoked to have him on the show.
And it's been a long time since I've been in the GPs, almost 10 years, which makes me feel quite old, Jeff, but not as old as...
You said it. I didn't say anything this time. This wasn't me. Also, Calvin Vlaanderen, MX2 rider for HRC. Should be great to speak with him and get his thoughts right. He's a bit of a younger guy, and just his overall thoughts on the GP circuit.
Well, that's what's crazy. It's been 10 years, and that's a guy who wasn't really around.
He probably wasn't born the last time you were doing GPs.
Yeah, again, funny, Jeff. We've also got Rasmus Jorgensen, who was around. He was racing, but now he's a husky trainer, like not dog huskies.
It's Husqvarna.
Husqvarna.
Husqvarna. You got to get your Swedish accent. Really get that Husqvarna.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's our guests anyway. We've managed to talk right through that.
So that's today's guest. Tomorrow we've got a whole new line of guests.
Yeah, we've got a full day for you, and we're going to be going live in and out throughout the day. So if you just keep your Facebook rolling on your computer, connect it to the TV, full screen it, you'll be good to go. But if you are on the I did it again.
Did you say the Facebook?
I said the Facebook again. What is... I don't know.
You're showing your age right now, Georgia. Now it's just For all of us younger people, it's just Facebook.
Yeah, all right.
So this is Facebook Live. It's a new thing.
It's the
It wasn't around
the
when you
Facebook
were
Live
younger.
today. Anyway, if you're live streaming it, below in the caption there is a link. Click that link and you will be entering yourself to possibly win.
So one of the prizes is a Fox View goggle. It's the same goggle that all the top Fox riders use.
Third place?
I use the V. I use the View also. A comp boot of your choice, color of your choice. But the grand prize is a Tim Gajser autographed helmet, like race worn, like full custom Tim Gajser helmet, and then a set of Fox airline gear of your choice, colorway of your choice, and obviously your size and everything of your choice, so that you can actually wear it at the track. So we've got 3 fantastic prizes. Got to click the link here somewhere on your screen. I don't know where it's at. It's probably down. Usually it's down. So click
Down.
that link, enter to win.
Actually, no, I think Facebook might go to the side. I don't know, but if you're on it, then you know better than we do. And obviously I'm too old and I call it the Facebook. So there we go. But yes, make sure that you do that. And if you're in the paddock and you happen to be maybe watching on your phone, if you come over here, you can also enter just in front of us. I mean, I would love to show you at some point. We are live in the paddock. We're right next to the entrance. We're opposite Monster Energy Yamaha. We've got it all going on. And today we're going to have the guests. So I encourage you to stay with us. We're going to be coming up at 3 or 4 more points in the day, which we'll give you more info on later. But let's set the scene a bit for people that are home, probably nice and warm, having a coffee and waking up. It's not the warmest here, is it, Jeff?
No, but it's not raining, and so
Yeah.
most of the British people I've talked to, they say the weather it's actually decent, and it's cold, it's a little bit moist, but there's no rain, there's no sun, of course, either. But
It's not always like that in England.
yeah, not always, but a lot of the times. But the track out there that all of our racers are on, the track is absolutely mint here today at Matterley Basin. So we're going to have some guests on today. There's going to be racing throughout the weekend. So stay tuned. Our first guest is going to be Tim Gajser and his girlfriend Špela.
Yes, so stay tuned for that. And like you were saying, the weather, the track is prime. We walked into one of the practices this morning and the moisture's keeping, well, the kind of like the cloud is keeping the moisture in. It's not drying out. So it hasn't rained, but it's moisture, it's tacky. It's going to be a great day of racing. Jeff, for now, shall we leave it? Shall we go chill out for a bit, get our guests ready, and watch some practice?
I say we do that.
We'll see you later, guys. Welcome back to Matterley Basin. As you can hear, we are live in the paddock, and we have all of our amazing fans here joining us. They're outside. I'm luckily inside with the one and only Jeff Emig. Jeff, it is quite cold.
Yeah, misting. It's just this quintessential English afternoon here.
And
But the
he's
good thing
got
is,
gloves on.
yeah, we got gloves. You got the beanie.
Oh, yeah. I've even got hand warmers in my pockets. It's that cold. But obviously, it is the GP of Matterley Basin. We mentioned that it's possibly someone's favorite track, and that one person is here with us today. Great to have you here, Tim. Great to have you here.
With you guys,
Tim,
yeah.
Tim Gajser, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, thank you.
Yes.
You guys, good? Cold?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's great to have the Fox 74 show going. So everybody's watching this on Facebook around the world. So
Yep,
don't
you are
blow it,
live.
don't blow it. You got to bring it, Tim.
Good to be part of it.
So your flight was a little bit late yesterday, but you're rested and you're ready to go for this GP this weekend, yeah?
Yeah, we have some issues with the flight yesterday, but we are here. I think that's the most important thing, and I'm ready to go racing.
All right.
It's crazy because seeing you, I mean, we were just saying, it's been almost 10 years since I last saw you, and you were a lot smaller, and you were a 125 champion. I
Yeah,
mean, that was a long time ago, and we were saying you didn't even speak English then. A lot's changed.
Yeah, sure. You know, like I grow up a little bit, and definitely move some classes up. Now I'm racing 450s, so yeah, the time changed. The time is flying, and yeah, I'm just having fun. So
And he's got 2 world titles to his credit.
Yeah.
2-time world champion since you last saw
I
him.
know. I mean, it's amazing. But, I mean, a lot has changed. Times come on. But you're still living the life that you always were. You're still living in Slovenia and enjoying that life. I mean, how is life in general for you?
Yeah, exactly. I really like where I'm living. Like Slovenia is a really nice country, and yeah, just can't imagine myself moving somewhere else. because I really found peace over there, like coming off, you know, like from the races on Monday and doing all the homework, all the training, everything there, and I'm just feeling comfortable there. So yeah, it's good.
There's no traffic to deal with like in Southern California.
No
where I
traffic
live.
there.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, not like Corona and the 91
Oh,
and
man.
everything like that, or London, I guess. But we'll come back to that in a moment. But this weekend is special for you for many reasons, especially tomorrow with the date, because we know it's the anniversary of the passing of your brother, which is, you know, something that's sad, but something I know that you celebrate as well. And for that reason, Austin from Fox back here has got you the specially painted helmet. Bring it in, and I will let you
Check that. Open that up. So this is a custom painted Fox Racing V3 helmet that our buddy Tom Fuller over here from Image Designs did. So let's open this thing up.
Can I open?
You can put your mics down. It's all right. Have a look for the first time, which I'll let you tell us about it as well. But yeah, first time of seeing this helmet.
All right, what do you guys think? Oh, you got to see the detail on this thing. That's fantastic.
Yeah, we've got the overlay of the stickers and the painting design on the back, and I mean it's gorgeous.
Yeah, you want to tell us what the 243 and all of this represents to you?
I'm speechless right now. Like really nice helmet. Yeah, you know, like 24th of 3rd. You know, like you said, it's birthday of my brother who passed away, and it means a lot to me and to all my family, and it's just a pleasure and honor that I can wear that number and representing it in World Championship. So yeah, it's great. I'm really happy, and huge thanks to Fox guys. You know, like they make amazing job, and I'm really appreciate it.
Well, that's awesome, and it's great. It's great for you to have that here and to celebrate it at a track that we know that you really enjoy as well. I mean, moving on from that, Matterley Basin as a track. Yes, it might be a bit misty. We're inside, you guys aren't, sorry. But how is it? I mean, Matterley Basin for you, it's a track you like.
Yeah, definitely it's one of my favorite tracks on the calendar. So I'm always really excited and happy to come in here. I have some good battles, some good races in the past year, so really looking forward for this weekend, and I will give my best and try to enjoy out there and have fun.
So, okay, so we had a few questions, some things that we got together with the team, and one of the first questions that came up is who influences you as a rider, whether past or current rider. What rider would you look to for inspiration for your style or your technique, things like that?
Sorry, I didn't understand. Like,
It's American. What can I say?
You don't speak American. So what rider do you like? What rider do you like to watch?
Okay.
And that would influence you as a rider. Make sense? No?
From anywhere in the world.
I mean, you can say me. That's a good answer too. You like watch some old black and white videos.
I watch a lot of it, so I really like to watch all the videos. But I think like I don't know. It's tough to say that. Tough to answer that question because every rider have a unique style on the bike. I don't know.
Who's your
all right,
favorite?
Okay. Well, let's move on. So we can come back to that. So, do you watch Supercross consistently?
Yeah, I watch.
Right, Monster Energy Supercross. So, and you've actually been over to ride the Monster Energy Cup with us in America before. So, is that something that you'd like to do again? Was that kind of a one-off deal when you rode the Monster Energy Cup? What's your thoughts on Supercross?
Yeah, sure. It was great experience. Actually, it ends quite bad with a big crash for me in Vegas.
It was spectacular. Yeah,
it was spectacular.
I was
but
there.
Like yeah, but like I would like to try it again. So it's still like something in me that I want to do. I want to try Supercross. So yeah.
Yes, there's quite a conversation about European riders going over to America, and you know, Tony Crowley, for example, hasn't gone over there and there's a talk of Jeffrey Herlings possibly wanting to go or not wanting to go. But for you, you're quite open to doing that, which is good.
Yeah, sure. You know, I always say what I think and what I'm thinking about, and yeah, definitely like that's not surprise. When I was a child, I was dreaming about going racing in US and doing supercross races. So yeah, still I have these dreams. So I would like to do in the future.
But you would have to move out of Slovenia to do that.
Sure,
will you move away from
true.
Slovenia?
That's true. Sorry?
Yeah, I said, would you move away from Slovenia?
I will have to.
Move to Corona, just right there.
Yeah, I think
right
it would be
there
a
in
bit
California.
too much of a commute to go from Slovenia to America every weekend. But do you have your own track as well, don't you? Private track at home that you ride?
Sure, I have two private tracks. One is like a little bit have some stuff from Supercross, some whoops, some written sections. One is a little bit more motocross, outdoor, really fast, huge speed. So yeah, I train a little bit, but like, you know, obviously if you wanna do races there, you have to go there because the tracks are completely different, and you have to spend time there and train on these kind of real supercross tracks. So yeah.
Is there sand in Slovenia like there is in Belgium?
Yeah, I mean, see, that's the deal. To win the world championship here on the Grand Prix circuit, you really have to master sand tracks, which is literally the exact opposite to riding supercross, right? So it's like it's almost like there's two different sports now.
Yeah, exactly. I think we have like you know, motocross tracks with the ground with a hard pack. Then you have sand, and then you have supercross. And for every, you know, like these kind of tracks, you have to set up the bike completely differently. And you know, like in the past, I kind of struggle in the sand. And this winter, we kind of train a lot on the sand to get more comfortable, also to understand how to set the bikes correctly. So I'm feeling also better on the sand pack. So yeah.
That's impressive. I mean, we're talking about Slovenia and family and being at home, and behind every good man is a good woman, right?
That's what they say.
And I think we have your lady here. Come on in, Špela, come on in. I think this is the first time I've had a chat show with a girlfriend, so this is brilliant. It's great to have you here. How are you doing? Thank you. Doing
so
good.
This is Špela, by the way. Špela, girlfriend. So you guys have been dating for 3 years?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So and see, you guys are quite close. To see it on Instagram. You guys spend a lot of time together. You're living together now?
Yeah.
So Georgia and I and the Fox team, we thought it would be fun if we find out after 3 years of living together just how well you two know each other. So we've got a little game set up, Tim. Okay. So we've already asked Špela. Is that how I pronounce it? Am I getting the S right?
Yeah, Špela.
You really get that? Okay. So we've already asked her questions, and you have to answer them. So we're going to see how well you know Špela.
So I have the answers
he's
written
in the
down.
hot seat, ladies and gentlemen. This is. He's
feel like we need a drum
getting
roll.
nervous, huh?
So, yeah, exactly. So he was trying to get more comfortable riding the sand. Now we're getting him uncomfortable right now.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you guys want to see how this plays out? See how well Tim knows
Yep.
his girlfriend. Okay.
All right, we'll see if he's going to have a good rest of the day or not, because he might
So
get
Georgia, take it away.
Okay, so first question that we asked Špela was, what is Tim's favorite track? Racetrack.
Matterley Basin.
Matterley Basin,
Boom.
ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding,
So that's a winner.
ding.
Okay, so that's one.
Are you going to write this down?
Yeah,
Tally.
so that's
tally. Okay, is there any food that Tim won't eat, that you don't like or that you won't eat?
What food will you
I'm
not?
actually not so picky. I eat almost, I don't know. I don't like fast food.
I don't know.
I'm going to give that to Špela. She got that one because she said there's not really anything
She
you
said
don't
you'll
like.
eat anything. She says you eat everything.
Yeah, like I'm not picky.
All right. So
I
we're
like
going.
that.
Okay, so we're going
What
2 for
food
2.
don't you like?
Mushrooms. I don't like mushrooms. I don't even like the look of mushrooms. It's like, it's fungus, and then you eat it.
See, I don't like
Anyway.
olives, but people say that you grow up and you
Nah,
start
nah.
to like olives, and I haven't grown up, I
Nope.
guess. I
Nope.
don't know.
Who's with me on mushrooms? Who doesn't like mushrooms? Yeah, there we go.
Who's with me on olives?
All right.
Yeah, olives wins. They're wrong things. Anyway, we are Špela. What would be her favorite date night? So a night for you two to spend together. And this is, we can't say anything.
Like a favorite date
Weird.
night. Yeah, this is
What
ready
to do? What we will have
Yeah,
to
what? So
Yeah.
what would be her favorite? Like, if you're gonna have a date, what would be
Yeah.
her favorite thing to do? Not yours. He's like, oh, here we go. This is where we get down to
Dun,
it.
dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
I don't maybe go somewhere to nice massage. I don't know.
That would be nice. You'd like that, though.
I don't know. Well, what was the answer
Well, it was like a quiet, nice, peaceful time
though? In
somewhere
nature.
nice.
In nature.
Like with a good
yeah.
view or
In
something
nature.
like
So
that.
we can't give that to you though. So 2 for 3. Nope.
Okay, well, Špela's favorite and your favorite is probably similar. Your favorite Fox gear setup. Your favorite Fox
What was
kit
your favorite
that you've
kit that you've worn in your career? Your favorite Fox kit?
The one that I wear in Arco.
No, what? So in your career, since you've been wearing Fox gear,
Okay.
what was your favorite kit, your favorite uniform of any race in the last few years?
Vegas.
Vegas?
Yeah.
Yeah?
had. What year was that? Which? Hang on, we've got two.
2 for
What
4.
Špela said, the grey and flow one at Qatar.
Qatar,
Which did you say
like
you had these
gray
on your
with some
wall?
bright yellow on it.
You had them at home?
Yeah, we have on the wall.
Okay.
Ah.
Okay.
Right, yeah, make a note of that. All right. 2 for 4. He's 50-50 right now.
Okay. Something that you do before every race.
Like a ritual, you know? Like
I
something.
pray always.
There you
Boom.
go. Ding, ding, ding. All right.
Oh, this is the good one. What is Špela's favorite song?
What's her favorite
Or
song?
one that she would sing that you kind of hear her sing a lot? Maybe during race weekends?
Favorite song. Look her in the eyes, Tim. Look her. Come on.
It's
Don't
quite
let
an
her down.
old song.
She sings it all the time.
We sing quite a lot, so
But
like
it's in
we
a-
sing many.
It's a
many-
different language, kind of, parts
What,
of
what,
it.
what language is that? Is it
It's
Spanish?
French.
French.
Spanish.
Yeah.
French.
Estera.
Can you? Yeah. Can you sing it?
Yes!
Wait,
Sing
sing
it.
it.
Estera.
Yes, ding, ding, ding. All right.
Will be.
All right.
The future's. Okay, I'll stop now.
4 for 6. Great job. Can you
Yeah.
sing it for us? Come on.
But out of every song, that could be a favorite
Hey,
song.
she'll sing it. She's doing
That's-
karaoke.
That's impressive. I love a bit of karaoke, not gonna lie. Anyway, the most, so we asked Špela, what's the most romantic thing that you have done for her? Do you want a clue?
He's like, I let her wash my dirty gear. Does that count?
I let her cook for me.
She cooks for me. No.
I don't like to cook, huh?
No.
So what's the most romantic thing that you've done for her? I forget this one. Oh yeah.
Meow. That's a clue. I'm not making weird noises.
We're gonna help you out on this. We're gonna
We
give you
look
a-
really stupid right
we
now.
bought the cat, yeah?
Yeah!
There we go. That's right.
So he bought her a cat
All
after
right.
wanting one for a long time.
5 for 7.
He said no.
Ding, ding, ding. All right, you got that
Then
one
you got a
right. We're gonna
cat.
give you a little help here.
Okay, but we did look quite strange then. What is Špela's most annoying habit? What does she do that annoys you? You have to be very sensible here
He's a
because you don't
watch.
want to hit round the head.
Take it from me. I'm 48 years old. Okay, watch your words. Be careful where you go with this.
Yeah.
The
The most annoying thing.
most annoying thing. Wait, that she does?
that
Her
Špela
most
does.
annoying habit. She's like, yeah, Tim. Hello?
This isn't though a bad habit.
Yeah, it's
I
not.
know. Katja to. Nic, nie.
Now they're speaking Slovenian or something, and I
All
don't
right.
understand.
3 seconds. 3,
Two.
Singing all the time.
Singing all the time?
I don't know.
No. So what'd she
That's
say?
a good habit. That whenever she cleans, you want to clean again. Even though she's cleaning fine, but you have to double clean
So she
everything.
cleans, and then you get stressed out or something, and then you start cleaning also, and she's like, I just cleaned that, and you're like, well,
Yeah,
I'm cleaning it also.
That's bad habit that I have.
Yep.
It's like
All right, it's not a bad habit.
Well, we were just saying, it's kind of a weird thing that a lot of motocross races are like that, but they don't like clean the kitchen every day or something, but suddenly something will get irritating.
I
and
clean
it's like,
everything.
Oh,
I clean
now I've gotta
everything all
clean.
the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, so you've kind of answered this one. What's your most annoying habit?
cleaning.
Did you
Yeah.
clean? All right, there we go. We're going to give him that one.
I want to move in with you guys.
All right,
This sounds
6 for
great.
9. 6 for 9.
Okay, so the favorite place that you two like to go on holiday together?
Maldives?
No, but that would be nice too.
Huh?
Eh. What was the answer on that?
Croatia.
What, can I get again? Can you read the?
Your favorite place that you'd like to go on holiday,
We
what
would
was it
like to go.
Oh,
or that you go?
Croatia.
Croatia, there you go. Ding, 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 we have a winner, Croatia.
Okay, Špela's favorite food.
She likes junky food.
Junk
Chunky
food?
So like
food.
maybe I don't know pizza or something.
Yes!
Pizza, yeah. There you
Yes.
go. Ding, ding,
And
ding. All right.
A type of chocolate.
Kinder.
There we
She
go.
loves Kinder.
That's a 2 points for
Chunky
that one.
food. I like that.
Pizza
Chunky
and
food.
what was the candy?
Kinder.
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 Kin-
I gotta try it out. Maybe
Kin-
It's good. You don't
Maybe
know.
Kinder's the
somebody can-
best,
I don't
is
know.
it not? Kinder chocolate is seriously the best.
somebody,
yeah.
if somebody could bring some up here to the 74 show, that'd be great.
Oh, yes, 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 yes.
But bring it to
Okay.
me first, because if you bring it to Georgia and
It
Špela,
might-
there's gonna be none left.
Yeah, that's too.
I'll get the
I'm a
crumbs.
chunky food eater.
All right.
Well, that is.
That's
so
it?
what was the
Dude,
score?
So you went 8 out of 11. You got 8 out of
It's
11
not
correct.
that
Can we give
bad,
him a
huh?
round of applause? That's pretty
Yes.
good, if you ask me.
Yeah, I would
That's
say
pretty
that's
good.
good. Good job. You two are in sync. You're in sync. So that's impressive. Well, we've got, we've done a little thing here with Špela and Tim. Thank you so much for being on. It's really great to have you. And good luck this
you.
weekend.
Thank
For
you.
you too. You're staying for a minute.
Okay.
But we're going to quickly run to a little thing that we shot earlier on today about what our favorite thing and our worst thing was about the off season. Let's roll.
The best thing about the off season is not having to go to any airports for work.
And the worst thing?
The worst thing is that you're not collecting any airline miles because you're not really traveling.
For me, that's the main thing. It's just rest, because the season is nuts, okay? But you only get a smaller amount of rest. So that's the thing that I like best about off-season. It's a long year, and as much as I love bikes, you've got to have some time off. You start to go a bit dilally.
Worst thing about off season?
Then getting everything ready. That's the next thing. So you come off the back of rest, and you think, oh, that's okay. But then the chaos, and I do mean chaos, especially when you're running a team. There's just so many emails, logistics, getting everything in, chasing product down, the design element, basically hard work. That's the bit I don't like about the off season. Then the season starts again, then you're like, oh, I'm on holiday now. And that's good again. It's like a cycle.
Best thing about off season is chill.
And the worst thing about off season?
The hangovers.
Oh yeah, to enjoy the family. We live, and yeah, just off season just to make it ready for the next one and try to put everything together and try to work what was missing in the previous season. So that's I think is the family and be together and get some rest, unplug it sometimes. So that's the
What's the worst thing?
worst things that because you start to miss the race when it's like a lot of time without coming to the track and see the friends and stuff and the bike around. Oh, something missing now. Have to go back to in action again. Good.
Perfect.
Best thing about the off season, mountain biking for me.
And the worst thing?
Worst thing is not really having a purpose.
Best thing, especially in Europe, because you're kind of off in the winter. So I got to go on a snowboard trip for the first time in like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. So that was cool. And worst thing is like getting back on the road, especially in Europe, is how unpredictable the food is. And I'm a vegetarian, so it's like I flip it upside down.
There is none for me.
And the worst thing? Probably
There is none. Yeah, there is none. Full tilt.
Drinking?
And the worst thing?
Drinking.
Well, that's fair enough.
I don't fucking know.
A little bit of time off with my family.
And the worst thing?
Not being at work and not hanging out with my work friends.
Perfect, yeah.
Oh, chilling out, recovering, relaxing, getting
And
ready for the next season.
the worst thing?
Not riding. The noise, the quietness, that's the worst. You've got to get that buzz from the old adrenaline.
Supercross?
What's the worst thing about off-season?
Not being able to ride my bike.
What about you? What's the best thing about not having the races around?
Riding my bike.
Oh, that's a good answer. What's the worst thing? Do you miss it?
Yeah.
You're quiet, aren't you?
Yeah.
I would say spend some time on with the family and friends, just relax a little bit. And then at the same time, when you get used to that travel and all that, you get bored a little bit quite quick. So.
And what about the worst thing about the off-season? I guess being bored?
Yeah, being bored and just don't have that much going on when you're used to it. But it's not that bad actually. You do like a little bit of both, you know. So it's a balance to get. So.
Off season to go back home, see my friends, and enjoy the time with the family and with my two lovely dogs.
What's the worst thing about off-season?
That I can go racing.
So Jeff, off-season is a quiet one, but during season it's just full gas.
Yeah, I think most people agree that when you're in the season, it's just so busy, and all of the people that work in the paddock here that are part of this, whether it's the racers, the mechanics, the girlfriends, the sponsors, all that, I mean, they're very, very passionate about this, and this is why they dedicate their whole life and their career to this. I find that most people, when the season's over and it's like the quiet time, they actually don't like it as much. They
want a weekend off, but then when they get a weekend off,
yeah, then it's like, oh, what am I going to do? You're twiddling your thumb. So anyway, but I'm not sure. So you were asking the questions. What's your favorite thing about the off season?
off-season would probably be... That's a really tough one as well. When you
okay,
ask
then we'll
for
go.
Steve.
So what's your favorite thing about the
My
off-season?
favorite thing about, well, the worst thing about off-season, I guess, is seeing everyone every weekend, like they said, is being able to hang out with all your friends and the buzz, the constant buzz of getting up and doing stuff and moving around. But then the best thing as well is not having to get up at, when I was in America, it'd be 5:30, 6 o'clock.
Do you go have tea and crumpets with mum
I
in the
do.
afternoon? Do you have afternoon tea with mum?
I totally have tea and crumpets. I don't know why I do a fake English accent, but I do. I don't even talk like this. I'm just going to stop on that note and pass it over because we still have Tim Gajser here. He is behind me with Mr. Austin Hoover from Fox. What do you guys got going on?
Yeah, we're hanging out in the bar area over here. So we've got some rapid fire questions we're gonna ask you, Tim. So you did better than we thought you'd do with Špela. So now we're gonna try again to stump you. All right. So quickly, coffee or tea?
Tea.
Honda or KTM?
Obviously Honda.
Who would play you in a movie?
Sorry?
Like if they made a movie about you, who would be the actor to play you? Tom Cruise?
Yeah, Tom Cruise.
Wow, that was easy. What, blonde or brunette?
Pass.
Pass. Yeah. Your girlfriend's blonde.
I didn't understand.
Okay.
I didn't understand.
Blonde or brunette?
Blonde, always.
What's your spirit animal?
Cat.
Cat? All right. Beer or wine?
Neither.
So, beer or Pims?
What's PIMS? I don't know.
We'll go with neither again. Okay. McGrath or Carmichael?
Oh, that's tough one. Both of them. Yeah.
I gotta be with you, but you could have said Emig. All right, 3 travel essentials. Like when you leave home, 3 things you have to have.
A wallet, something to drink, water or orange juice, and keys.
Road bike or mountain bike?
Mountain bike.
Rolling Stones or Oasis?
Rolling Stones.
Arsenal or Manchester?
Manchester.
City or United?
City.
Brexit or no Brexit?
No. No break.
Dog or cat?
Cat.
McDonald's or Burger King?
Neither.
English or French?
I would have to say French because my mechanic is French.
And describe your 10-year-old self. So when you were 10 years old, 3 words that describe you.
Woo. Always in a rush. I was always moving, never quiet, talking a lot. Love motocross.
All right. Well, we stumped you a little more over here, so I feel a little bit accomplished, not gonna lie. All right, we'll send it back over to Georgia and Jeff. Thanks, guys.
Thank you
Tim.
so much. And Tim, round of applause for Tim, taking time out to hang out with us, and best of luck for the rest of the day, Tim. Oh, gosh, that was really cool getting to know Tim and his girlfriend, Špela. It was really cool.
Yeah, and Tim's one of those guys, he blushes really easy, right? You can tell he gets a little bit nervous about it, but he was fantastic. Thank him for playing along, and we wish him good luck this weekend here at Matterley Basin, which we know now is his favorite track on the GP circuit. So that's always good. You come back to a track that you like, you're happy, usually produces good results. So we wish Tim the best.
Seems really relaxed and happy as well. Like just chilled out, and everyone seems to be a really good vibe today. So I'm excited for that. But obviously, we will be back later on with you guys. But in the meantime, when we take our break, make sure you click that link that is somewhere
on your screen,
around the screen, because you will then enter to win one of 3 prizes, maybe. What are the prizes again, Jeff? Remind us.
First prize is a Fox View goggle. Second prize is a Fox Comp boot, set of Comps boots. And then the grand prize, if you will, is an autographed replica of Tim Gajser's helmet, and then a Fox Airline kit, so top-of-the-line racewear of the size and color of your choice. So amazing prizes, so click that link somewhere on your screen and enter the contest when you can.
That is some awesome prizes. Okay, so we're going to wrap it up. Get a cup of coffee, warm up a little bit here. You guys get comfortable at home and keep watching and have Facebook up, and we will see you back here shortly. Welcome back to the Fox 74 show. Myself, Georgia Lindsay, joined by Jeff Emig, and we have a new guest today. And this guy, he's the brains behind a lot of stuff, and he's been around for many years. Roger Harvey, how are you?
Thank you very much. Been around a few years. Been around too many years, I think.
Too many years.
So your former position, you were team manager of HRC.
Yeah, general manager.
General manager. Now you moved into a new position?
Yeah, I've become an advisor.
An advisor, like a consultant.
I'm now an advisor. Yeah, consultant. Japanese know it as an advisor, we know it as a consultant.
Okay, gotcha.
So, you know, I just say, oh, well, I think we maybe should do that, but it's your choice, boys.
When did you start your career
Shit,
in
you're going back
motorcycling?
already, ain't you?
Was it called scrambles then?
I started as a scrambler and finished as a
Air
motocross rider.
scrambler.
Yeah. I started back in '66. It was my first ever race.
It's the year England
So-
won the World Cup too.
Yes, it was the same year. Yeah, that was, yeah. They noticed the World Cup. They didn't notice me start riding. Yeah, so I've been around since then, raced up until 85, and then in management from then, you know, went from one thing to another, you know.
So I've always wondered this, and even with talking with Davey Coombs and Eric Johnson and, you know, the guys that are all about the history of the sport, I don't think I've ever learned, how did this sport go from being called scrambles to motocross? Where did the term motocross come from?
Scrambles used to be laps. So we'd do a heat, a 4-lap heat, and then you'd do a 6 or 8-lap final, or maybe a 10-lap final. So that was scrambles. Then from the French influence, it went to time. So like in your era, you did 30 minutes, didn't you?
Yeah,
30
yep,
minutes plus 2 laps in the Nationals. So, you know, that's when it changed over to motocross, when we went to time plus laps. And that's what happened. And when I was doing Grand Prix, it was 40 minutes and 2 laps.
Wow.
Gosh,
Proper
40
racing,
minutes plus, that's an extra 10 minutes. And when you've got any bad weather, whether it be rain, heat, or anything, an extra 10 minutes is a lot.
40 minutes and 2. And it just never, no matter what the weather was, they went.
Yeah.
They never, ever cancelled. Never, ever. And like some of the conditions, well, you've been to France when you were riding, and you know, the French don't stop races. They
No.
just like, they've got this international race on, or this Grand Prix, and they're just doing it. And that's what you go there expecting.
I mean, over the years, like you said, from 66 until now, so much has changed in general. But for you, what's the biggest points that stick out from when you raced? Obviously, track conditions, track maintenance, equipment, the paddock, but what's the main thing that you notice has changed over the years?
It's a different game. Absolutely a world apart from when I started. You know, when I started, going into the corner, the grass used to fall down.
Yeah.
Going out the corner, the grass used to lean backwards, because that's where you're accelerated. But now, these kids now, they haven't seen grass.
No.
They don't know what a slippy, grassy turn is. And the track preparation was zero. They never used to prepare a track. It used to be grassed over from the last race you did there.
Well, and it was very much natural terrain.
Just
like,
all natural.
Just,
Yeah.
Nothing man-made.
And so I've seen photographs of Grand Prix races here in Europe from back in the days, and the fans were literally right on the track. I mean,
Oh, yeah,
we're talking
safety out
right
the window,
next
right?
to the track, and these hillsides. I mean, there was tens of thousands of fans, and they were like right on the track. I mean, what was that like having the fans there?
Massive crowds, because there wasn't so much to do for people. So like the local scramble motocross, they all used to turn up. The local village, the local town, all sponsored by the local town. You know, the shops and that, they all put money into the event. But like Belgian fanatics, it's been known where when one of their riders went through, they'd step back and they'd have a nice smooth piece.
Oh.
And when the competitor come from another country, the spectators had stepped forward. So you were on the road.
That's a real home field advantage.
Oh,
when something like that.
Yeah, because you were that close. You know, like there was somebody gave me a picture, and it was from the 1976 125 Grand Prix. And my wife was with me, and it was just me and my wife used to travel to races. And it was in the days of that hot in Spain, and you needed to cool down. And what she did, she stepped over just the straw bales into the track and threw a cup of water over my chest.
While you were racing?
While you're in the Grand Prix race. And like, the idea was you looked up and back so it didn't go on your goggles. And the wife there in flip-flops and a bikini.
Well,
I mean, that's one thing.
I mean, what's the chances this weekend or sometime this summer, we're going to see Špela take a,
Tim.
a cup of ice water and throw it on Tim.
On his chest, yeah.
That
Take
times
away
have
ice
definitely
vests,
changed.
just become
It's
water.
just different world, different
Well,
world.
that's, I mean, a huge thing, like you just said, you know, throwing water on you, moving your goggles out the way. But equipment and how technology has changed. I mean, Fox goggles, helmets, the difference of them to what was your biggest issues back then? We're talking like this is a long, long time ago. It's not, really.
Yeah, when we set off, it was glasses. You didn't wear goggles, you wore glasses. And that's if you were one of the flash boys. You had these.
Yeah, so my dad wore these ones in the early 70s, but I remember they were called Barafaldis. Does that sound?
Barafaldi goggles.
Oh, those were goggles. What were the glasses?
But they made glasses before that, and you know they were proper metal rim.
Yeah,
you know,
glasses.
like glasses. But then the guys who weren't so well off, they'd wear what you wear in industrial work in them days. Then they were just like pieces of plastic over your eyes, and they'd wear them.
Like aircraft
Yeah,
goggles.
and you could almost
So they
throw them
steamed
away, you know?
up. I bet the steam.
Oh, steaming up, but you just
rocks.
they just went, you know, they just and we never had tear-offs in the early days. Them tear-offs were just
So really,
what's
back
all
then was
this?
the real motocross.
So
It's
what-
a bit different.
If you could find a common thread between riders of the, let's say the 60s, 70s, 80s on through the decades and the riders now, what is a common thread that they shared with the riders now, like Tim and let's say yourself as a racer back in the 60s?
Basically the same as any sport. The cream comes to the top, and them guys that put the effort in and were somewhat talented. I don't say they were super talented, but somewhat talented, but put the effort in. They always, over the years, they've, like when I started, there was guys like Jeff Smith, Dave Bickers, and I had a great career because my career finished in the days of Thorpe, Noisy, guys you know, and there was all these, and I was always in amongst these guys, and they were all hard men. They were viciously hard men and ride through you for £2, you know. It's just like, and them guys have always been at the top all the way through.
It's a mentality thing, because obviously training, diet, all of that wasn't the same, was it?
Yeah, but here's the thing. So I've been off of the bike now for close to 20 years. And so we've always been enamored. We always admire guys that are talented. This talent, they got this great style. Oh, he's got so much talent on the bike, right? And that is not the rider that usually wins.
No.
So in the last, since I've done broadcasting, right, for 13 years, now I believe that the new talent is the ability to work hard. Not where your skill is on the bike.
And the mental game.
real talent is being able to do the hard work involved. And guys like Ricky Carmichael, Jeff Stanton, who were HRC riders, that's where the hard work, that's the real talent.
Talent will showing a kid that isn't doing the work he should be. But then if that kid goes and works hard, as you well know, then they can do it. And one of the biggest ever examples that of a rider I've been involved with is Rob Herring. You'll know Rob Herring, he was your hero.
I know Herring, yep.
And like, unbelievable talent of what he could do on a motorbike. I just used to go, oh, wow, you know. But he wouldn't work hard enough. Watley, same, another one, your era. Jeremy Watley, massive talent, natural, but wouldn't work hard enough.
Because the talent was a crutch. Oh, well, I'm this or that. And then other riders, like you were saying, that maybe this concept of talent was maybe a little bit down, so they figured, okay, I need to work harder. It's like we have this discussion all the time about Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
He got kicked off of his high school basketball team. Lionel Messi, right?
Talking
Footballer.
American stuff
You're too
right
little. You're too small. You'll never
never
play
do it,
professional football. Now he's arguably the one
world's
of, if it's Pele, Messi, and Ronaldo are probably the 3 top players ever. And he was told that he couldn't do it. Michael Jordan gets fired from his basketball team. Now he's Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Right. And none of with those guys, that didn't happen without this hard work that you're talking about.
No, and but there was that spark there when they were kids.
Yeah, I think you have to have that
just
ignition,
little,
don't you?
Yeah, that little, you know, like we just seen Dobby now, Paul Malin, you know, Paul that you're working with. The talent them two had.
You had to have that fire to ignite anything, and you have to have that talent to make it easy to ride and not be fighting it. But I think what's cool as well, and I'm bringing it back to the training side of it or whatever, things were a lot more relaxed in those days, I believe, and you can tell us, but you know, you hear all these stories of people pounding a beer straight after a race but that didn't happen. So what stories have you got of things like that? I want to know that
what
stuff.
What stories have you got that you can tell?
We're in the internet, not TV.
When I went to my first Grand Prix ever, which was 74 in Spain, and you got
Same
these,
year that Fox was
you got
around.
these guys that were all, they're heroes. You've read them in the paper, and and you go to the prize giving. We used to get prize money in them days. You remember that?
Even in my day, I had to go get my prize money. Yeah.
And we used to get the prize money, and it'd usually be in a local cafe or somewhere, you know, a function where. And some of me heroes were absolutely arseholes there.
Smashed.
Straight after the Grand Prix. And these guys, you think, a lot of them were Finnish.
Kids don't do that these days?
Yeah,
That's how we did it in the 90s.
Yeah.
But I think you were the last. That was the last time.
Ricky Carmichael, I credit Ricky Carmichael and Stefan Everts for their work ethic, because they took away all the fun. After that, it's like, no, you got to be a professional athlete.
Yeah, but they go and have fun after that, don't they? But these guys,
That's how it's changed so
heroes.
much, isn't it? Because if you eat one unhealthy thing, if you have one drink, that's a reason that something could be this. It's all such a little game. There's so much to it.
That's the mentality of today, but it isn't quite true.
Yeah, I agree. You have to have fun.
These guys running at this level today just have to step back a little bit occasionally I'm not saying go and, you know, but they have to
see,
because the whole
around.
life, you know, if they have a bad race on the Sunday, life's finished for the next week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're only as good as your last race, right?
As it's always been said, but it's not right, you know?
Yeah, in the reality, that's not the case.
No.
But as a racer, you're like, oh,
that's finished.
Yeah,
But
that's
a lot
career
as
over.
well. With the money side of it, if you were racing, a lot of people are still working, so they have a complete other life. Whereas today, if you're a top racer, your only job, your only focus is obviously on the circuit. So you don't ever step away from it. You don't have another responsibility. Your responsibility is that.
Pure and simple, that's it. But like, that's what they've been since they've been kids.
Yeah.
Because they've come through the schoolboys.
Yeah.
And they've come up through, and that mentality has always been there because it's in the family. And like, oh, you didn't do well on Sunday. Oh, we're finished. We're selling the bikes. We're finished. And this is what happens all the way through. But they have to step back. They have to a little bit. I don't say step back a lot, but just a little bit and just
breathe. Literally breathe.
Have a little bit of regular life to keep that focus for what you need to do today.
Well, I was going to move back onto obviously you specifically and what you're involved with, because I know that this year we've got a lot of new stuff on the scenes with Honda and obviously your new role, and Marcus has taken your previous role, is that correct?
Yeah.
So Marcus is doing that, and earlier we caught up with Marcus and he took us on a behind the scenes tour of the rig. Check it out.
Okay.
Welcome to HRC Team. I'm going to show you our new facility, new truck. So that's our new entry for 2019. The new trucks made from the team owner, Jack and Garibaldi. So that's purely for technical. Yeah, all what we need for work. We have like products that the mechanics need during the weekend. So our new baby actually. Parts that the riders setting in levers and stuff. Yeah, actually here we have all the spare parts for the team, 250 for 50. We have an office on the top that the engineer just have the dates from the bike, then you can check and can have a look and can watch the race from there as well and have a chat with the riders. That's his stall. Calvin team. Brian now actually is missing on short because it's just on the bike now. Yeah, that truck actually just dedicated for on technical side, so we don't have more the area for the mechanics for sleeping. So you have another truck for the mechanics. So here is dedicated only for work. You're on the back side here a little bit. You have that automatic door. That's something new for us as well. Here, this morning just do some stickers work. Our pit bike. Have the rack the wheels. Normally just rack on the top, so during the race weekend it just take down. This one is for the mechanics to put on and out of the bike. Have always big stars on the top as well. That's the back end of the truck. So, actually, yeah, here we have the mechanics to work with bike, so the bike is triple, so it's good. Just don't go there, you know. Have the area dedicated for the riders, Calvin, Brian, and Tim, so that they can have a rest and can get change. So properly that truck is more like hospitality and area dedicated for the riders. Just have Brian in there. Let's get Tim. And here's Tim area, but Tim is not here yet. A bit of lounge, an area that you can just stop and have coffee and drink. So riders can watch the race on those screamers as well here. Yeah, spend the time here during the weekend.
Oh my goodness. That, I mean, having that facility is absolutely unbelievable. That's going to be one of the best facilities in the pits, but you didn't have that probably in the 60s, did you?
No, I didn't. It was just a van, and at one time there was a tent on top of it. In fact, I went to, how stupid is this? I went to 5 Grand Prix on my own. Couldn't afford to take my wife, but she had to work to keep us eating.
Racing?
I was racing, and couldn't afford to even feed a mechanic, let alone pay one to come with me. So I think I did 5 Grand Prix on my own, but just imagine if you'd have crashed.
Oh, yeah, that's...
in a tent with a van.
Times
just on my own, in the van.
So I got a couple of questions here. What was your best travel story?
Best travel
something
story.
Fun, something.
It's probably in that 5 races by itself.
Yeah.
Well, I could tell you one from in them 5 races, but I don't know whether we could actually.
Oh, you can be quite lax.
This is the internet.
I
think you can say anything.
Okay. So I was feeling lonely. I've been to Belgium, done that Grand Prix, waiting for somebody to meet up with somebody to travel with who didn't turn up.
Which Grand Prix was this?
Belgium 125 Grand Prix in '76.
What track?
Oh, it was. I can't remember the name of the track. Not one that they use today. It was
I thought you were going to say Valkenswaard, and I thought, I'm not sure where this story's going with that one.
Netherlands. So we went from there, and then my next race was in Denmark. And so I drove off, went up to Denmark, and...
That's not up the road either.
No. On my own, in my van. Cooking for myself, which I can't cook at all, still can't cook now. And got there, and I was the first one there. So I was still on my own, sat in the pits. Then one guy come up from Italy. He drove up, he arrived a bit earlier, he arrived on the Wednesday. And they drove up all the way, and I know him. He was quite a good friend, he turned out to be quite a good friend. an enemy on the track. And
Of course.
so I got in his van and we sat there, and they'd come through Germany. And up through Germany, they'd stopped off and they bought these magazines, you know, for the boys to read.
Boy
a men's magazine.
You remember them?
A
when you
men's
were-
magazine. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And they bought this magazine for the boys to read. And of course, I went and sat in there, and this magazine, one of them, sat there on the next to me, and and I thought, I'll just have a look at your magazine. And I'm looking through this magazine, which was
In the back of the van.
It wasn't. Let's put it. It wasn't soft. It, you know, it wasn't
Okay.
the soft.
It was quite hard.
It was a proper one.
Yeah.
It was a proper. And like, I looked, and I looked again, and from my local motocross club, they were featured.
No!
And
A magazine from Germany
from Italians bought in Germany.
had a local English motor club
Motor
celebrity in the magazine.
Members, two of them.
No, that is brilliant.
And I just hope they're not watching this program.
Two members.
Well, there's no names.
I kept it because I didn't believe my own eyes. But then, when the next
It's on the
English-
mantelpiece, framed.
when the next, I went to these races after and signed on at these races, and the lady was signing on.
I know
And I
you
looked,
from
and I
somewhere.
wanted to- God, just sign on. So that's one of my travel stories.
Wow.
But
Well, that is times surely have changed. That was.
That is brilliant. Oh my gosh.
It was. Yeah, I checked with the English guy.
Was
when
it in
the next English guy that
1969?
got- And I just opened the book and said, "Who's this?" And he went, "Up, up." And it was. Yeah, he confirmed it.
Oh,
Absolutely.
brilliant.
So yeah, there's a travel story that didn't
Well,
move far.
You certainly have lived a great life in motocross.
I've enjoyed
and
it, mate.
We appreciate you being a guest, but from your racing career on to general managing, now you're in a new position with HRC. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, it's advisor. Basically, I suppose, like you say, I've been around forever and a day. A lot of knowledge, experience, contacts. You know what it's like yourself. You know, from being a rider, because you injured yourself, didn't you, when you stopped, and that sort of stopped you.
Yep.
Well, that's the same as me, and I don't know whether you ever had this same feeling. And like I dislocated and fractured both hips, both come out on the track, and I'm lying there and I'm going, right, get back, hospital. And then it's shit. My career's over. What am I going to do now? You know. Yeah. And that's where it went.
Did you know straight away, or did you sit there and
as
think
a rider,
about?
you know. The first question: how long before I get back on the bike? That was the first. You'd have been the same. How long? And then it dawns that shit, you know. But I was too old anyway, so I needed dropping off.
You still enjoy what you do today. You still get the same excitement.
Love it. Love every bit of it. Okay, there's, you know, in the management it can get hassle.
The technical side of things, yeah.
You can get that, and you know, you get, but you've seen a lot of it before. I don't say you've seen all of it, but you've seen a lot of it. A lot of the requests that come are similar, and yeah. So after that, it was like 85, and I went then into management side at Yamaha, and then I ended up working at Honda. Left Yamaha because they wanted to move me to what was a great job, but it was away from motocross, so I didn't want to do that. And I went to Honda and Honda UK, and I did the road race for 5 years. I looked after that, so that was an experience.
That's a different ball game, isn't it?
Completely different.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah, entirely, and like budgets are so much bigger.
Oh yeah, hugely.
Compared with motocross, you know, and.
I mean that is how it kind of changes between America and England, I think, as well, as superbikes and motocross kind of flip, don't they, a little bit?
Yeah. So, and then I ended up, and then I've gone through at Honda UK, Honda Europe, and then HRC. But I was going to retire at the end of this year, but looks like maybe I won't.
Oopsie, didn't retire.
Somebody just said you're going to die in a hotel room. I said, no, what do you want to tell me
really
that for? I know
nice.
I'm old, but like shit.
He's changed his middle name to Honda too.
Who would say that? Like,
I'll tell you after who said it. Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely.
But only just 5 minutes ago that was said.
Austin,
yeah.
no. Well, it's 2019,
Yep.
and today, and the team you have around you, how's the vibe been, and especially today, for the race today?
Yeah, it's just enjoyable. The UK is a pretty intense event because obviously coming from the UK, been around all my life, this has been my life. It has been my life.
It
So
literally is,
the
yeah.
number of people you know and all this, that and the other, you know, and you see a lot of them here.
I
And
bump into you
yeah.
after 10 years.
So, yeah, and it's good. We've got a pretty good feeling going on in the team this year.
Well, Tim
Probably
was really
better,
relaxed
yeah,
today.
Tim's in a happy place. He's,
Yeah.
you know, he's settled with a girlfriend.
Yeah.
And his mentality's looking strong, better. Bogus Brian's, you know, he's got to try and pick it up from that injury he had last year because he missed the whole year. Calvin can win if he thinks he can win.
Well, last
And he can win.
weekend, I mean, last weekend for him, it was a great ride, wasn't it? I mean,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
do you see this year going for him?
Well, the thing is, we said podiums, but like, it's got to be hitting podiums all the time. Basically,
yeah.
that's the target for the first 2 or 3 Grand Prix. Is get on the podium, just sort your season out, and then you've got to see how much more you've got to sling at it, or whether you can just like, okay, we'll sit here for a bit, or, you know, they've got to work that out and see.
Predictions? Are we going to go there?
Well, he's going to predict an HRC
Yeah.
rider up.
Am I
top
gonna
of the
am I
time,
going to
so-
predict anybody other than Gajser?
That's
Exactly.
true.
No.
That's true. But as far as the weekend goes, everything's going as well as it can.
Yeah,
do,
yeah,
it
yeah.
seems.
Yeah, good. We've got a lot of involvement from Japan. Japan are heavily involved as they've become involved in America now. You know, we've got a good project leader that looks after it, and he's fully experienced motocross guy as well as engineer. So that's good. So yeah, the whole structure is working really nicely at the moment.
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, it's been great to have you on the show.
Cheers, Ron.
Fantastic stories. We're gonna get some more of those stories.
Well,
the
we're
ones
going to be
that you
bringing them
can't
to you.
tell
Yeah.
on the Fox 74 show. We'll get those a little bit later on. We'll
But
get the
yeah,
real
Roger
dirt.
Harvey, thank you so much for coming
Thank
on.
you.
And obviously,
Yeah.
you've probably got more knowledge than a majority of people here with everything that you've done and giving us stories. So thank you for having.
You're welcome.
Thank you for coming on the show and
you.
having you.
And
It's
thanks
been
to Fox.
brilliant.
Cheers.
And guys, if you are watching right now, make sure you click that link on Facebook because you will be entered in with a chance to win one of 3 prizes if you're lucky enough. Jeff, give us a quick reminder.
Fox View goggles, comp boots, and then the grand prize is a Tim Gajser helmet autographed with a set of Fox airline gear of their choice. So pretty awesome prizes. You click the link somewhere on your screen.
Well, we will be back with you later on today. Best of luck to Team Honda with Roger Harvey and Tim Gajser. He was great, looking good. So guys, stay tuned, get relaxed, and we will see you later on this afternoon for the Fox 74 show. Welcome back to the Fox 74 show at Matterley Basin live, coming out to you on Facebook around the world. My name's Georgia Lindsay, and I'm joined by my co-host, the wonderful Jeff Emig. Jeff, wow, what an afternoon.
I got a wonderful now. I like it.
Wonderful, number one.
Thank
yeah.
you, Georgia. You're such a sweetie.
Just being nice. Not only just Jeff Emig, we also have 2 amazing guests, Rasmus Jorgensen and Calvin Vlaanderen.
Big round of applause for them. Let them have it. There you go.
What's awesome, we are live, literally in the paddock, and the races have just finished. So we've got 2 brilliant guests, and let's just start off straight away. Let's throw it in.
Well, yeah. Well, so Calvin, you were on the track today, MX2 class. That qualifying race didn't start out like you wanted.
Yeah, exactly. First of all, thanks for having me on the show. It's good to be here.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, like you said, the race didn't start how I would planned. I went off the grid and just slid, and had to start right from the back. So I managed to come back to 9th. So for tomorrow, I have some good places on the track to pass, which is important. And I'm feeling really good on the bike, so which is another positive. So should be a good day.
Doesn't the roost really hurt here?
Oh man, you have no
so
idea.
why are you starting in last?
Yeah,
I didn't plan it.
Oh, you didn't mean to do that.
I said to my girlfriend, like, I'm not going to put so many tear offs because I'm planned to have a good start, and I'm confident, and
Yeah.
it didn't work out.
Yeah. Tomorrow, just put one tear off on, just get in the mindset, I've got this,
There we
I'm
go.
starting up front, and that's it.
That's the plan.
Right?
Well, it's crazy. I spoke to Roger Harvey, who we had on the show earlier, actually, and we talked about the start gate, and the grate is obviously different. If you're watching in America at the Pro Motocross, we don't have that, so it's very different out here. But you have the tire wraps that go on before the start. Is it just something that we're still working with? Because you said since they've been painted, then maybe it changed a little bit.
I'm not really sure. I mean, we put a new wheel on for the race to make sure everything's clean and ready. But yeah, it happens, and we can learn from it. Luckily, it's today and not tomorrow.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is what a qualifying race is for, I guess.
But it's still good though, Charge, that you were that far back and you did come through to gain ninth. How was the track? Were you quite comfortable out there?
Yeah, like you said, to come back to ninth is not too bad. I had some good passes, or places to pass on the track, so that was good, and I can maybe use that for tomorrow. And that's one thing I was struggling with in Argentina is passing the riders. So actually, it was good for me to have a bad start and to come through the pack. I think for my mind and mentally, it's good coming into tomorrow.
That's a really good way. I mean, turning a negative into a positive in that way.
It certainly is, but tomorrow, once we hit the main races, you're going to have to go against this man, Rasmus Jorgensen.
We're not against him.
His rider, Thomas Kjær went out and showed a lot of confidence, looked really smooth on the Rockstar Husqvarna, and pretty much dominated that race. I mean, what's your thoughts on his ride?
Yeah, first of all, Jeff, are you still involved with Husky? I know you've been...
I just was Rockstar Energy Husqvarna, yes.
Yeah, I just need to make sure that...
Get that right, yeah.
That I got you on my side here.
That's 100%,
so
yes.
Calvin, like, is your Honda fast enough?
It is, you'll see tomorrow. Yeah, oh,
okay, well, here we go.
We'll see tomorrow, guys. You'll see tomorrow.
No, yeah, joke, just a joke. No, but yeah, it was a good start to the weekend, and even Argentina for Thomas was good. You know, he won a qualifying race on Saturday. He went 2-2 on Sunday, and yeah, obviously our other rider is back this weekend from injury, and yeah, he's just getting his feet wet again. He haven't been he crashed here last year, so it's been 9 months he haven't been at a race, yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. So you have an interesting take, right? Because you're on the bike, you're the trainer that helps these riders on the bike to help get them prepared. So we've got a list of questions for both of you right here, and I'll let Georgia start it off. Let's just focus this first part here on Calvin and getting to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, well, obviously, 10 years ago, I didn't know you, and since then you've come through and turned into the rider you are today. But tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, your background, where you're from, and what you do, and where you live.
Yeah, I was born in South Africa and raced in South African motocross until I was, I think, 12, until the first time I came to Europe to race World Championship. I just raced one round, went back to South Africa to race a few years on 1-5, and then came to Europe because, to be honest, in South Africa you can't really make a living out of it, or you can't really do much there. So the only way to make a career out of it is to come to Europe or to USA and to race. And obviously I had some good contacts in Europe to come to, and yeah, I raced European 1-5 Championship 3 years in a row, and then got a good contract for MX2, and now I'm racing for Factory Honda, which is a really good team, and I'm really blessed to be where I am today.
I mean, the accent, as well. I can pick up on both accents here. Do you speak Dutch?
I can speak pretty, I wouldn't say fluent Dutch, but not too bad.
I guess you're around people all the time. Do you have to speak it, or is it mainly
well,
English?
Because I rode Nations last year for Holland, because I have a Dutch passport, and I live in Holland now for 3 years. I needed to learn, obviously, for the Nations and all the fans and things like that, which was not easy. But yeah, I've learned it. I've picked it up reasonably well.
Hi, my name is Calvin.
Sorry?
Say hi, my name is Calvin.
Hi, my name is Calvin. Oh, in Dutch.
No, in Dutch.
Yeah. I like this guy. It's like when I met Georgia, I was like, wow, your English is so good for being European.
This is funny, isn't it, you guys? Yeah. I wanted to hear the Dutch.
You'll hear it another time.
Oh, okay. We're getting camera shy.
But yeah, I'm a bit shy when the cameras are out. And
But how is it living, obviously, in Belgium, Holland? It's the heart of dirt bikes, motocross, everything. And for you to uproot and move over here, do you feel now you're at home and this is, where you're happy to continue with your career?
For sure. I mean, moving to Europe from South Africa is a big change. Everything, leaving the family, my friends, all that. They still back in South Africa. So that was a bit getting used to. But now I have a kind of starting my own family in Holland. I bought a house. I live with my girlfriend. So, during the week when I'm in Holland, I feel like I'm home, and I call that my home now.
So your girlfriend is Dutch?
She's Dutch, yeah.
He ain't going back to South Africa anytime soon. That's how that works. All right. He's staying.
Clapping
He's
back
staying.
there. Yeah, and since 10 years ago, that was when I knew you and you were racing, and it's two completely different stories, I guess. And
She just called you old.
She was what?
She just called you old, I
I did
think.
not call you old.
Experienced.
Actually, experiences made you to do what you're doing today. And I mean, explain to everyone what it is that you do within your team.
Yeah, well, like you said, it's
You need to hold your mic a little bit
There you
closer.
go.
Oh,
He
sorry,
knows. Yeah,
Cal,
get.
Yeah.
Shall I just
sorry.
leave?
Can't-
I mean, come on.
No, yeah, it's been so long. We just spoke about it before.
Yeah.
I obviously I had an accident outside of motocross. I actually just got to do one GP in my life when I was 17. I think I finished sixth in that one and signed a factory contract. And then I had an accident in the traffic, and it was tough. It was tough times, and so what am I going to do after? It was difficult, and so I started doing a little bit of coaching, and back at the time I was still good friends with Kenny. We used to be teammates over here in Europe.
So you're referring to Ken Roxon?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Is that the Tekka days? Was
Kenny.
Kenny. Well, I don't call him Kenny. I'm not on that level
don't call
with
him Kenny in
No,
yours?
no.
No, and so
Well, I don't call him Mr. Roxon either. We're somewhere in the middle.
No, what actually started was then I went over to him in Clermont, Florida, to see him for a couple of weeks, and that was when he was training with Alden, and I was just kind of at the sideline. I was still quite fit, and I was still going with him on bike rides, and kind of thought that this might be something that I could do here in Europe. Obviously it's different here, but just similar. And started with Thomas and worked out well. He got European champion. We got together into the factory team. I came in as a trainer. He was the rider, and then obviously it's the third year now, and he finished third in his rookie year. He finished third last year, and hopefully this year we can finish higher.
Yeah, well, you obviously
just wait there. What do you want to finish this year?
Higher.
Higher.
Than
Okay.
third.
Good.
So you're obviously quite fit, and I take it that you're the type of trainer that you do the training with your athlete.
Yes.
You're just not sitting there eating a bag of potato chips and drinking a beer going, hey, do this, do that.
Potato chips
You're
or
very,
crisps,
chips or
everyone,
the
just
crisps?
to let you know.
Crisps.
American.
Crisps. Something like that. And so what, obviously when you're working with these athletes, they're in great fitness, like great shape. And so you have to be as well. But what advantage does that have for the athlete with you going through these training sessions and cycling and things like that with him?
What do you
with
mean?
them?
Sorry, what?
Again,
Really,
it's
that was like a
American.
minute-long question. No, so
The last part of the question.
Yeah, so you train with the athlete. So what advantage does that give the athlete
advantage.
and you guys training together?
I guess I'm suffering with them in a way. It's just also on long bike rides we talk about stuff. It's so mental, this sport as well, and each and every rider is different from mentality perspective or even genetics, and you really need to know which direction or what you're going to do with each rider. It's not like if you do like this, then you're going to be world champion. Then everybody would do it.
Yeah.
So it's very, very different, especially with the MX2 guys. Once you go into the premier class, like it's more. You see that also with Alden. It's more like to be the reliability is there and the structure is there, and with the younger guys, it's more like adapting the program to them and make them grow and make them learn, and we have changed a lot over the years, like the past 3 years with Thomas, for example. We started in a way, we changed a little bit to make him comfortable. It's such a long season.
I think as well, I mean, it kind of goes over, you know, it's a learning process for the riders in the training side of things, especially in the MX2 class. But for you, I mean, last year getting your overall in Indonesia, that gave you another level to learn off because you've done it and you're pushing to do it again. So what is it going into this season that you feel like is your aim and how you're going to get there?
Yeah, like you said, in Indonesia, I got my first GP win, and after that, you know, you ride completely differently. You're mentally, you're completely different because you believe you can do it.
You've done it. You've
done it, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I rode really a different Kelvin after those races, just because I knew I could do it, and if I even wasn't up there, I wasn't happy. And whereas before I was 4th or 5th or something like that, and I was happy. And after that, I was 4th and 5th, and I was not really happy. So it's completely different mentally. And to do it this year, it will be a challenge. But you know, I'm ready. I've taken the experience from last year, and I feel like I'm a different rider this year. I feel like I can be up there again, and I think I will show it in this next coming GPs.
So Ralph Shaheen, who I did the broadcast with for Fox Sports and Monster Energy Supercross, so he's been involved in all types of motorsports. I mean, everything, Formula One, NASCAR, you name it. And he made the comment before that he said, you Supercross/motocross riders are the most mentally fragile motorsports riders, drivers that he's ever seen, right? Why, as a trainer, why do you think, what would make that comment true?
It's such a unique sport in so many ways. Like, it's such a tough season. You have to train all areas. You know, it's like you have back-to-back weekends, and you win, you're on top of the world. You crash one time, get a little bit of an injury or whatever, and it puts you right down in a black hole. It can be anything, you know. Like it's just so unique in so many ways. I feel like, at least, and it's you cannot compare it with anything else, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, mentally, this sport is crazy. I mean, you're only as good as your last race, right? Like sometimes, like I can win in Indonesia, and the weekend after I can be 5th. And going into the week's training, you're like, oh, I'm not fast enough as the guys, or am I fast enough? And after Indonesia, I knew I was fast enough. So it's like you said, it's mentally really tough.
Yeah, and I think it's exactly what you said before with the experience from last year. You know, you've been in situations before, you learn from it, and that's really one of the major things that makes you a better rider. You know, you learn from last year's mistakes, try not to do them again, and be like, oh, I'm thinking this, but I've been in this situation before. What did I do to try and fix it? You know, it's.
And I mean, you're always learning too. I mean, we can move on and talk about the MX1, well, the MXGP class that we just saw the qualifying, and Tony Crowley again dominating and having a smooth ride, but he's still learning because then accidents happen, and he had those falls towards the end. So I mean, things do change. And speaking of the MXGP class, what were your thoughts watching?
I was actually watching the first 3/4 of the race. I left to wash my boots and get ready for the show. So I didn't actually see the last few laps. So
I went at the critical moment too, and then just heard and kind of ran back.
Yeah, I mean, Tim came back.
Did you see the results? You know what happened?
Yeah, I know what happened.
Okay, all right.
Because Tim came back to the truck, and everyone was happy because he won. I was like, that's strange. I thought Tony won. When I left the track a few laps to go, he had a big lead.
It was about 5 or 6 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't see the last few laps. But like you said, anything can happen until the checkered flag waves. So.
Yeah.
So is this a track that you like? Is it one of your favorite tracks?
Yeah, I would say it's one of my favorite tracks.
Do a lot of the riders feel that way?
I think so.
I've heard it from many people about the track. I mean, obviously the rocks, but apart from that, it seems like it's got a good flow. You've got a good speed. It's not too fast in some sections, and it's quite flowy, and it looks like some of the jumps look fun as well.
Yeah, really fun. I would love to come here just one day, like in the week, just training and throwing big whoops and just have fun. Because on the weekend, it's like free practice. You need to get the bike out. You're serious. You can't really have fun on the track. Time practice is the same. You have to get a good lap, and only time is maybe tomorrow morning in warm up. But then you still need to get a good feeling for the races. So you don't really have that fun time on the bike.
Can you guys predict the MXGP class wins for tomorrow?
Well, you know where he's going. He's got a company man.
Yeah.
Austrian bike. Austrian bike? It's going to win.
Japanese for sure.
Japanese bike.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think it will be either an Austrian or a Japanese bike. Yep,
interesting.
I agree.
Good answer.
Yeah, I agree too.
It's not my first rodeo.
I'm not going to put any names on this one, not
No,
just yet.
But yeah, I don't know who will. I know Tim rode awesome today. The whole day he was really fast, so he'll be tough to beat tomorrow. I think he's for sure on the podium, but we'll see. I think Tony is also a good starter, and he knows how to ride. So if you minimize the mistakes that he made today, I think he can also walk away with the win.
So I want to know, so as a trainer, as a rider, so the GP format here is a 2-day event. Okay, so qualifying, practice, and racing is in the books. You know what you have to do tomorrow. There's one free practice in the morning and then you race in the afternoon. So for our fans that are out there around the world on Facebook Live, what does a Saturday evening look like for you guys? Do you stay on site? You stay on hotels? Is there specific food that you like to eat? And then what does Sunday morning look like before practice? Warm up.
For me, it changed this year. I got a new camper, and so I'm staying on site. And
Do you drive to most races?
Yeah, I'm driving to I think 9 races this year. So I'll go to Italy and France and things like that. Yeah.
But would you stay on site here?
I don't have a camper, so I fly and rent a car for most of the races.
Okay.
From here to Holland is actually not a far drive. It's like 5 hours.
Yeah.
So I just drove from home and stay in a hotel.
But is it pretty easy for the fans that haven't been to Europe and traveled around Europe like you guys have about finding the right things to eat and things like that on the different places you go, different countries?
I think the Europeans are a bit more relaxed about things like that. I think.
Oh, I'm not really. I'm quite strict with what I eat.
Well, not as far as
But-
healthy-wise, but we see a lot more different food by traveling, going to races. You're in
course.
different countries and you have to adapt, whereas in America it's kind of...
We have pizza. We have burritos.
Burritos.
French fries. We have French fries, so that's French food
So,
right there.
that's European. Yeah, you're right. French
No,
fries.
but it's actually exactly right what you say, Georgia. Because also in the GPs, we go to crazy places, and
You just
and
have to
Yeah, we have to
fit
be able
in.
to adapt, and when we go to Indonesia, we can't really bring all kinds of food with us.
4
and-
days of
and
food
yeah.
in your backpack.
And the last 2 races in the championship are
China,
Shanghai and Hong
yeah,
Kong.
yeah.
Which that should be completely different.
We have
yes.
Chinese food in America, actually, don't you? So.
Yeah, we have Chinese
Yeah,
food.
so international.
All of it.
But that would be interesting to adapt to that, because that is stuff that you're not going to be used to, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. No, but to get back to your question also, like, obviously Saturday I feel like is quite relaxed the whole day pretty much. It's for the gay pick Sunday, like you said, you get the bike dial as well as you can, and then if things are going really well, there's not so much to talk about. Just try to stay positive and stay in the same flow for tomorrow. And if things are not going well, then you obviously need to figure out why. It could be bike-wise or with the riding or whatever, and you speak about Saturday night, and then try to wake up with a different view on Sunday.
All right, so let's do 2 questions here. So you guys essentially race against each other. But what's the best thing about having a trainer?
Good question. I actually don't have a trainer who's with me all the time, like Thomas Thomas Olsen. I have a guy from South Africa who actually just sends me a program, and I talk to him on a regular basis, and I do everything at home myself. I've had trainers in the past, but sometimes the trainer is a bit more motivated than what I am, and then it just demotivates me, to be honest. Which you find, like he was saying earlier, is you need to know what the rider likes and what he wants, and you need to know when you need to say that or when you need to say that, and it's a difficult job, I think, to be a trainer. But I've never really found that one guy who can follow me around all the time, and I find my motivation myself, and obviously it's nice to have someone for the long cycle rides and things like that. Like this week we went training and he was at the same track, and I normally moto alone, and I hate it, because I need someone to, like Thomas is obviously riding really well at the moment, like he won the qualifying race, so it's nice to ride with them. I asked them Wednesday where they're going, can I come with, can I join, so that's cool to have a relationship to ride against each other. I mean, we're making each other better, I guess, if we push each other. But yeah, for myself, I don't know. That's a good question. What's the best thing to have a trainer? I wouldn't-
well, and then I'll ask you, being a trainer, being a former racer, what's the best thing about your job about having an athlete to train? Like what makes it, like why did you choose this, and what's the most fulfilling, best thing?
When my riders win, absolutely. It's obviously, but no, just also the close relationships, you know, like it's actually funny what you said, Calvin, that sometimes you feel like it could demotivate you, because I feel that sometimes, you know, because obviously the only training I'm not doing with the riders is on the motocross bike, which is the hardest part. It's absolutely the hardest part, like that's the one that really gets you tired or whatever it is. So in the season, most of the time it's, you know, with racing 2 days in the weekend and maybe two times during the week, it's mostly recovery training. And I'm showing up, you know, like fully fresh.
You're fresh. You didn't race.
Yeah, exactly.
You
like
didn't get your butt kicked for 2 days out here
like
and then have to go pedal
and
on.
Thomas is like, you know, like the mood is down or he's tired and whatnot, and the same, you know, with Jet. But then again, it's like really, also the mentalities is so fun from the sideline to see. Like with Thomas, and Jet is completely different characters, you know, like where Thomas, he doesn't hide anything. He says it like it is or whatever, and even though if Jet is tired, like he'll still pick him up and be like making jokes and stuff like that, you know, so that just gets to show how different people are, you know, and like you said, Calvin, it's hard sometimes, you know, to be in that position where you really have to adapt. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so then what's the worst thing about having to train these athletes? What's the worst
Sorry,
thing?
going back to the last question about the trainers. I think one thing to have with the trainer is trust. One big thing is trusting your trainer, because I've had trainers before where they give me a program and I don't really trust what I'm doing. And then mentally you're like, should I be doing this? Should I be doing something else? You know, and now I work with John
or is
Wakefield.
someone else is doing this? Should I be doing that? Should I be doing what they're doing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, also, you're trusting your program and believing in what you do is everything, I think.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. It's back to the reliability, you know.
They're becoming friends now.
I know.
We've always been friends.
We've always been friends.
We're just wearing different jackets. That's the only thing. No, the reliability is so.
Come on, what's the worst thing about having to train these pansy-ass racers? You wake up on Tuesday and they don't want to train, or they're complaining about this or that. What's the worst thing?
Yeah, the complaining.
Hey, I was a racer, trust me.
Yeah, no.
I know the deal.
Yeah, for sure. Like
I bet you were a right pain in the ass, weren't you?
All right, on this 50-50 question, we'll give you the last word on okay, so what's the worst thing about having a trainer like that?
I think when you're tired and you don't really feel like doing something, and then the trainer's like pushing you, you got to do this, you got to do that.
Trying to find motivational speeches and be like...
Yeah, I think that's the worst thing. I hate that.
Motivational quotes on Instagram.
And then the worst part is when it really kind of hits you and you're like, shit, he's right. You know that? He's right.
The day after, when they wake up, they're recovered. The next morning, they're like, yeah, I thought about, like, it's happened so many times. I thought about what you said yesterday, and
yeah, I thought about what you said. You're right.
Or after a good race, and they feel good, and they feel fit, and they're like, yeah, what you did was right. What you did was right. Well, as you guys are watching, by the way, make sure that you click on the caption that is somewhere on the screen. We're not sure where.
We don't know where
Facebook,
the click button is for the contest.
And enter into the contest, because you can win one of 3 prizes, Jeff.
Fox Racing View goggles, Fox Racing comp boots, and then the grand prize is a Tim Gajser race helmet autographed and a set of airline gear in your color, your size, whatever you want, so you can actually wear it. So we got 3. We're gonna have 3 winners for this contest. So make sure that if you're watching on Facebook, that you click that to enter.
For me, being back it's the second round of the season, it was so exciting to be back at the GPs for me, and just seeing dirt bikes on the track. I had an amazing time, but for you, being over here, first race this year of the GPs that you've been to, what were your thoughts?
Well, it's been a busy day. This has been a great show. We appreciate you guys coming on. It's super fun to kind of let the racing kind of settle down and then get to know you guys and what you do during the day and on the weekend. But you know, it's just such a busy weekend, and it kind of yes, it's my first race, but it kind of feels like the first race of the season again, being back here in Europe,
And
right?
with the
Kind of has
3-week
that
gap
feel
as well.
because now you're back in your main trucks. You've got the motorhome and all that stuff, and you're starting that, so it kind of feels like a fresh sort of beginning for some reason.
Yeah, I feel the same. I'm just going to call it the first GP because it's the first one I've come
Yeah.
to. But we are going to be doing this as well at St. Jean d'Angely and Tuchenthal, so we're going to be doing this live show. But I mean, we've only had one day. We've got a whole nother day tomorrow. We're going to be bringing you live action with guests, Jeff Emig, myself. Throughout the day, we're going to be bringing you different segments and a lot of behind-the-scenes info. And also on Instagram and Facebook, we've been doing bits and bobs all day behind the scenes, so you can check that out. But any last words, Rasmus Jorgensen?
I have a question for you, actually.
Oh, no. I'm nervous. I don't like this.
No, it's quite serious. Like, you haven't been here for many years. Like, is there many of the same, like, faces and people, or?
Do you know what? That's a good question, because going around the MXGP class, there's a lot more people that I know and remember me and I can chat to. But the MX2 class is a lot of new faces that I've heard names, but I've never actually met. And it has changed a lot. The GPs has changed a lot in that time. The last time I was here was 2011. I feel like I used to race right now and I've retired or something. This feels really weird.
Every other person that walks by stops and is like, Georgia, oh my God. And they're like old friends. And I stress the old part of the friends.
But it
that.
has it has changed a lot, but it for the better. I mean, it's grown so much. I mean, the whole double-decker thing going on, whew, that's something else. There's snacks up there. It's nice. But I mean, the GP calendar has changed so much as well. Countries that I never went to and things like that. But as far as racing, the racing on the track is still the same, isn't it? The minute there's bikes on the track, I mean, there's a lot more flashy stuff going on the start straight that, I mean, I couldn't believe how many people were down there. There's so much going on. But once the gate drops, it's the same thing. It is exactly the same, and that's awesome.
I mean, what's the difference between racing here and racing in America?
Well, I was never on the dirt bike.
Spectating.
I mean, it's, wow. I mean, the build out here at the MXGPs with the teams and Ustream and everything is pretty nice and exceptional and all that. So, you know, it still comes down to you riders and you trainers working together and the athletes that are actually have their butt on the seat. And comes down to the hard work and like the dedication they put in and the desire that athletes have, just like we saw in that final MXGP qualifier. Is first and second points, two guys that are former world motocross champions. This is a qualifying race, and it kind of felt like they were gauging each other, and they were just, the battle has now begun, you know. So it's just about the racing, that common thread that all riders have to be champion, and what are you willing to sacrifice? How hard are you willing to work to achieve that championship? That's the same on both sides of the Atlantic.
And both are great in different ways from my perspective of what I see. Both are different and they're great in different ways. I think the constant heat in America to me was huge. I mean, it was in centigrade. It was 35, 40 degrees and then 80% humidity at some races. It was ridiculous. But then you have that if you're going to Thailand or if you're going, I'm sure China is going to be hot. I don't know where it is exactly, but you have that as well. But
You don't know where China is?
Oh my gosh. I'm going to start doing a Donald
Is
Trump
it in
impression
Asia
of saying
or is
China.
it in Europe?
China.
Is China in Asia or in Europe?
Asia.
Oh.
Do you know where Denmark is? Because many American people, they think it's a city in
one
US.
of the Norwegian countries, but it's technically in Europe.
It is.
Correct?
It is in Europe.
I don't like this turning
Don't
around
test
the
me on my
questions.
geography now.
This is too much.
You're trying to help her get out of the answering this question, aren't you?
She's European for a little bit.
I got a joke. I got a joke. If you're American in the living room, what are you when you're in the bathroom? European.
That's
No one laughed.
that's
That
where
was a
we're at
really
with this
good
show.
joke. Okay, I'm going to go home now. On that note, I
Okay.
think we should wrap this thing up.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I apologize for my co-host here.
been a while.
Hopefully, yeah.
It's been
It's been
a
a
while.
long day for her.
Well, Rasmus, thank you so much for being here, and we're
Thank you.
excited tomorrow
Appreciate
for your
it.
team and yourself. We'll be keeping an eye out, and best of luck for you tomorrow. We'll get a better start this time
Thank you.
and qualifying.
That's
so.
a plan. Good starts tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. And obviously, it's the end of the day, so I'm sure you don't want to be here. You want to be leaving, and Jeff, thank you again. I know you've been running around.
It's
you've
been something.
doing
It's
all
been
sorts.
something, Georgia, and we got to do this one more time tomorrow.
I'm
well, a whole
sorry.
day.
On that note, we will see you tomorrow morning. Make sure anything you want to rewatch from the day too is going to be archived on Facebook, so you can have a look at that. Sign up to win those prizes. You can also sign up if you're here at the race. So we will see you tomorrow morning live from Matterley Basin. Morning, everyone from Matterley Basin. I'm Georgia Lindsay, and we are here for the Fox 74 show live on Facebook in the paddock with all the action. Today we're going to be bringing you so many guests, or we have two right here with us now, but we're going to be here at Matterley Basin, obviously, St. Jean d'Angely and Tuchenthal, bringing you all the behind-the-scenes action. I've got a co-host here today with me, Mr. Jeff Emig. Good morning. How are you doing? The sun is shining.
Good morning, Georgia. I cannot believe it. We're in England, and the sun is actually out, and it's race day. We are teed up to have an amazing day of racing. I'm going to join Paul Malin on the MXGP broadcast, but we have a few of these shows here to knock out from the Fox 74 show, so
I must
happy
say
to
the
be
last
here.
2 days have been freezing. We've been beanied up, hoodied up.
You're
scarfed
English.
up.
It should be like no big deal for you, and here you've been complaining for 2 days straight. Well, the sun's out, so it's time to...
It is, and it's race day, so we couldn't be happier today, honestly, could we, Jeff? But join with us. We have two very special guests this morning. They are two other brains behind the scenes that we don't always see faces of, but Mr. Adam Wheeler from On Track Off-Road and David Bowman, you are HRC these days.
Yes.
I mean...
Yes, I am.
Yes, press officer for HRC.
Press officer at HRC.
So you know all the Honda secrets, really.
No, I definitely can't share any Honda secrets. I've been informed by my bosses, no Honda secrets to be shared.
Well, I've known you for many, many years, going back to days when you were in America with Verb Moto.
Yep.
You were one of the founders of that, and I'm sure people watching in America or here, they followed the scene for Verb Moto as well.
Yeah, I still remember your interviews at Minio's. What do we do? Like, who can eat the most? Or,
We did the
or the history
Thanksgiving trivia.
Yes, yeah. Max Anstey was very good at that, I seem to remember.
Actually, that was when Max Anstey was an amateur.
Yeah.
Little Max coming along and at the video. So yeah, that's going back quite far. But you've been a journalist in the sport. You know a lot of what goes on. But new job as the press officer for HRC. How is it?
Yeah, it's definitely different being on the other side of the fence now, being the person to disperse the information rather than one to receive it. So it's interesting, but I'm enjoying it. It's a new team for me. But the people are really nice. The riders, Tim's been on the show. Calvin's obviously been on the show as well. Both nice guys, and Brian Bogus is also a really nice guy. So they're making it very easy to work with, and yeah, I'm enjoying it.
It's early. It's early. There hasn't been any controversy, right? And we know somewhere along the line, the press guy, the media guys, you guys take some heat every now and then.
Yeah, he's going to have to control us at some point, but it's impressive how red he looks. You know, this serious.
Yes,
like,
and he's got the Gajser, the red-yellow, matches the 74 show.
Someone
Fox
did confuse me for Gajser earlier yesterday. I did get called. Tim Gajser's over there. I'm like, where?
No.
Yes,
That's
it happened.
You should have just rolled with it and said,
No.
yeah.
Well,
retire
hey,
now. That's it.
so I'm walking through the pits right now, and a guy says, "Hey, Jeff," and I said, "Hey, what's going on?" He
Well,
goes,
hang on.
"No, I was talking to the other Jeff Parrott."
Jeff Parrott didn't even respond to the hello, because he's like, well, of course he's not talking to me. He's talking
like,
to Jeff.
"Oh, he was talking to me." He's like. So the media guys, you guys are getting your due today. It's your days. So
He's
Adam
gonna
Wheeler,
love that.
thanks for being on the show. How's things going for you?
Good. I can testify as to how cold it's been because I'm sucking on the throat sweet at the moment. But yeah, it's confusing times, Jeff. I mean, we have, like you say, fantastic sunshine in March in England. You know, and you look at the Supercross results, and you got Europeans wiping the floor. It seems in the US, and you know, when it comes to Britain, we don't know where we are, if we're European or we're British or whatever. So it's bizarre times.
Well, we'll talk about everything else in a moment. But for people watching, Adam Wheeler, take me through what you actually do and what on-track, off-road, everything.
Oh, what I do? It's nearly 20 years now working in motocross and some MotoGP here and there, a few supercross. But yeah, an online magazine which has been going for 7 years, but also writing for people like Racer X, getting a few stories about motorcycle racing in the Daily Telegraph, which is a British newspaper over here.
And that's huge.
Pretty cool.
I mean, bringing the sport to a newspaper.
It's a fight. I mean, trying to get any bike racing content in any national coverage is a bit of a mission, to be honest. You know, you kind of have to be inventive of ways that you portray the sport. I mean, I think journalism is going through a bit of a big shift culturally anyway in the way it's presented. You know, I have friends, you know, their children are asking, I want to be a journalist, how do I get into it? And my recommendation is, well, I'm not sure. You know, I mean, to be able to work for one channel these days.
I mean, that's the beginning of it right now, isn't it?
It's not easy anymore.
Well, I'm doing this new podcast with Ricky Carmichael, Real Talk 447, right? Are we journalists now, or is that entertainment? Do we have any sort of journalistic credentials for that? I mean, we do talk about racing.
Yeah, I think it's sort of like a current affairs, isn't it? It's a current sport and current affairs.
Yeah, we're timely right now, yeah.
So, yeah, you're a media guy. Jeff, you've been a media guy for years.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, I guess
crossing
it's
all the
a full journalism stage here at the moment. I quite like it. Let's talk about yesterday before we move on to anything else. Qualifying races, they were amazing to watch. MX2, thoughts on the qualifying races?
I mean, coming into this race, obviously, we get the news Friday morning that Jorge wasn't going to be here.
Yep.
And I think already the MX2 class, the young guys, they always got something to prove. And now with the guy who went 1-1 in Argentina out, it was chaos as expected. Crazy racing all throughout the pack. Calvin, obviously, I was focusing on him. Got caught up early on, but he made his way all the way back up to 9th. And now he's got a chance against the other guys, but TKO looked good, of course.
We talked to him yesterday after the qualifying race, and we talked about the fact of hitting a win in Indonesia last year gave him that feeling of, right, I've done it, I know what I need to do. And he said after that, it changed his way of racing. Well, that's still quite recent, because we're only into the second race of the season, so that's still fresh for him. What you're around him in the truck, what vibe do you get?
I think coming into this season, it's always hard because, you know, they know they want to win, but it's hard to come out and say, I want to be the champion, because then you put yourself high up, so you've got to temper expectations a bit, and I think they're all kind of doing that because they all want to win, but they all don't want to be seen as being arrogant enough to say they are going to win.
Yeah.
So
not everybody has a problem with
like that.
that confidence level.
But I think for Calvin, I think he's got a very good chance. I think he's fast. He proved last year. I think his more impressive race was in Czech Republic, like a couple of rounds or a round after Asia, where he moved through the field to win a moto, passing everybody that he needed to pass. So at the end of the race in Indonesia, he won. He got the whole shot. He checked out. Was good, but the race afterwards in Czech Republic, when he passed everybody, was even more impressive. And for that, he wasn't quite able to build upon, but I think he still knows he can do it, and I think it's there this year.
I mean, we are, like I said, the second round in, but it was 3 weeks ago, so it's not completely fresh, is it?
Yeah.
Watching the whole class as a whole, Adam.
Well, actually, talking about Calvin Vlaanderen for a moment, people coming to MXGP or to Grand Prix might see something new this weekend, and that's the goggle lane at the end of the pit lane.
Yes.
It's a special kind of area, and
I did my journalism on Instagram on that, actually.
Yeah, this kind of initiative really set up, you know, kind of by the FIM, was maybe a consequence of Calvin's misfortune at Motocross of Nations, where, you know, having to chuck his goggle off and sustaining that eye injury and not starting the last moto was one of the reasons why the Dutch probably didn't win that day. So, you know, now we have this goggle lane policy, and I understand from
Talk
last
us
night
through
that
the actual
riders,
policy, because I haven't read any paperwork.
basically the riders are not allowed to go around the track without any goggles. If they lose their goggles, by the next lap they have to take one. But then for this first year, the FIM are not penalising that. So if a rider has to trash his goggles and he's still circulating, then he's not going to be disqualified or deducted points or time or whatever this year. But you know, they're trying out this new phase just to see if riders will be able to go into this small section, quickly change their goggles and get back out, which is quicker than going all the way through the pit lane and of course much safer.
So it's a trial and error, but for safety purposes mainly.
Yeah, it's something new, you know, which is you have to keep an eye on it and see if people use it.
Yeah.
Luckily, we're not
like
going to need
that,
it today.
he says, we'll have to keep an eye on it. You're
very
always
clever.
on, always on.
That's the journalism side there, Jeff.
Oh, I like that.
I'm gonna
But yeah, we do have sunshine, so I mean, hopefully it doesn't do the English thing of a sudden downpour,
Yeah.
in which case it might be used more, but it'd still be interesting to see how it works.
Then anybody who rides, you know, get different kind of tracks, stony tracks, whatever. I mean, especially like when you get mudders, and that kind of measure, I think, is something new, is something good that they're trying out.
Yeah.
So, and it came, I think, largely as a case of Calvin's high-profile misfortune with his goggles in Redbud.
Did you guys have a chance to watch the morning warm-up at all?
Not the.
No, we just missed it.
I mean, because the sun's going to dry this track out, but I assume the promoters put down some water to kind of make it a little jammy, you know, make the top
They
a
definitely
little more
watered
wet.
it before any bikes were on the track. It
Boom.
definitely been watered.
That
Yeah.
just happened.
Oh, he.
And honestly,
That was our word of the weekend, though, was to get jammy into the deal. So
Ah, I just heard him say that.
it would be a bit jammy out there.
Jammy.
Jamming, because jammy in English is another thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
I
well,
mean,
it was all actually a conversation about wine, to be honest, because I'd like to be a wine connoisseur, which actually I Googled Tim Gajser and spelt his name wrong, and I brought up a wine connoisseur, which
There's
is
a wine
quite
connoisseur
funny.
named Tim Gajser, but it's
Yeah.
with an I.
He's
So you spelled it wrong, too.
So it's Tim Gajser wine.
I spelled it
with
wrong.
an I, thankfully.
Oh.
She just, yeah.
Yeah.
It
So-
annoys me with the
so-
SJ. Oh.
Yeah. So, you know, he's contracted to be here for HRC. So I know his pick is going to say Calvin Vlaanderen and Gajser, right?
Of course.
You're a bit more independent here. You give us any predictions for the MX2 right now? We'll get to the GP later.
We were talking about TKO, Thomas Olsen, obviously, earlier on, and I think he was many people's kind of bet for Jorge Prado's closest threat this year. But it said a lot for the way that Prado controlled the first Grand Prix in Argentina that we're already talking about when he would have to move to the 450, because if he won or wins the championship in MX2 this year, he's got to jump up. So, you know, I think Jorge was on a little bit of a different level, but Thomas is the closest guy. And for sure, after yesterday, the way he kind of like sussed that track out in the second half of the qualification heat, then he's got to be the favourite for today. But I'm going for a Brit. I think a Brit's going to do it today. I'd like to see Conrad Muse, Ben Watson. I think we're going to see a Brit on the podium.
I like that.
If I have to put money on the table, then I'll go for Ben Watson.
Yeah, I mean, we had 3 British riders with Sterry. Well, Sterry's Welsh, though, right? No. Who was Welsh?
We could say British, because then it covers all.
British, but yeah, but there were 3 riders inside of the top 6 in the qualifying times, and for a moment yesterday, it looked like Ben Watson, you know, was going to take this thing.
He was rattling the
and
cage,
go
wasn't
with
he?
it,
Yeah.
but by the end of that qualifying race in the MX2, I could really see how the confidence that Olsen had was pretty impressive. Like, he definitely was a notch above the rest of the crew. So we'll see if it changes today.
Also, let's not forget that apart from Jorge Prado, there's only 2 Grand Prix winners in the MX2 pack. 2 guys have experience of winning Grand Prix, so it could be like a first for somebody here today. And throughout the whole of last season, Calvin Vlaanderen was the only guy on a Japanese bike to win in MX2. So, you know, if we have Ben Watson on a Yamaha, or we have Adam Sterry or Henry Jacobi on a Kawasaki, I can't even remember the last time a Kawasaki won an MX2 Grand Prix. I mean, you know, there's going to be a few little
maybe?
firsts.
Tixier didn't
Tixier
win on the
no,
Kawasaki. He was on the KTM when he
Yeah.
won.
Oh, he
So-
was, yeah, and he went to Kawasaki the next year.
Who was?
Husqvarnas and KTMs have been ruling this class for the last couple of
I'm
years.
sure
so
it's Steve Dixon.
I wouldn't,
Well, to be
I
honest
wouldn't be
with you,
doing my job if I didn't
Tommy
mention
Searle?
that
No, 'cause he
Olsen
was
is on a
on-
Tommy Searle
Rockstar
on a
Husqvarna.
Kawasaki?
You know that.
We're having
Right.
separate conversations here. It's
FC250.
really great.
Just consummate professional again.
Yeah, what just happened there? We all went off on a tangent. Okay, MX2 class conversation, but MX1, MXGP.
Wait, hold on. So you went with, you just went British. You didn't say a rider. You just
You
went
said Ben Watson.
British.
You said Ben
gonna
Watson.
have
Brit on the podium
okay,
for sure.
all right. That would be very popular, by the way.
GP class. Before we say anything about anyone, Jeremy Van Horbeek, he was impressive in Argentina and yesterday in the qualifying race. He was battling. I mean, that's really impressive because that was a last-minute deal. He put together a privateer deal on the Honda, and really, really impressive. What were your thoughts?
Don't underestimate a rider that's been scorned by the paddock. I think that's the moral of his story so far. He's very much got that underdog feeling. I mean, he was cast aside by most of the paddock last year. And, you know, I think that he's relishing in that whole, you know, I've got a stock bike, you know, I'm on my own, I'm doing this by myself.
I've got to prove something.
You know, and Jeremy had his best season in 2014 as the only rider in the factory Yamaha team during that year. I think he had 12 podiums and he finished second in the world. 2015, Roman Febvre came in and was a direct competition from the first kind of race, and he was the rookie. And since then, Jeremy's just like, he's had a succession of small injuries, a couple of concussions. Hasn't helped, but he under-delivered on the Yamaha. So now I think he's been forced into a position to reanalyze and refocus, and we're seeing the best of it.
I think he's kind of seeing every rider in front of him as someone who has a ride that he could have had.
Yes.
So he's seeing them and going, right, I should have had that ride, I'm going to overtake you. And that's
Jeff,
motivation.
Did you
I've
see,
been there before, yeah.
Have you got kind of experience from that position, or seen close friends or riders in a similar set of circumstances?
I mean, I experienced that at the end of 1999, where I rode, you know, a production Yamaha essentially for the last part of my career. And we saw that with Chad Reed also in America, where he said, okay, nobody wants to bring me on. I'll just start my own team. And you hit the nail on the head with the mindset, and it kind of fires you back up, and you have something to prove. Van Horbeke was great yesterday. I thought that he rode amazing. It's probably, I mean, it's pretty evident that Gajser and Tony Cairoli are a notch above the rest, but for for Van Horbeke to produce the results that he did yesterday and have that type of ride on basically a production-based bike, I think is pretty impressive.
It's kind of the story of the moment. It's a weird position because if he continues to do well on a stock Honda, it's fantastic advertisement for Honda and their technology. But then, you know, you're thinking, why isn't the biggest bike manufacturer in the world going to help this guy a little bit more? Because if he's rivaling Tim for race wins and podiums, then it's a weird.
See, this is the politics of journalism, and that's like a huge point to bring up, especially with you here. I mean, you're right. And how do you tackle that? I guess you see what happens.
Well, the first thing I think you have to understand, I mean, David may be a better place to say this, but the way Honda is set up inside this paddock and inside this sport is HRC are very much an independent racing division. They'll have their own budgets, their own priorities, whereas Honda Motor Europe, who are fielding the rest of the red machinery in the Premier class, will have a different kind of priorities and a different budget. So, I mean, Jeremy, from what I understand, is not even part of that Honda Motor Europe budget. I mean, he's really out on a wing. He's an annex. So, you know, he has to kind of get in that first door where he's still not going to get factory type support before he gets anything like maybe what Tim's got on his motorcycle. But then like Gordon Crockard, who's the off-road manager for Honda Motor Europe, says, well, you know, does he really need a factory bike? You know, what he's doing at the moment, you know, having exactly the same bike as Tim has in HRC.
It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other moment. But, I mean, speaking of Honda and the whole team and the budgets, you can check out, yesterday we did a tour of the Honda truck, which you can find on Facebook and on the website, and it's all archived on there, and we give you a tour of the truck, which is, I mean, fantastic, that new truck this year, isn't it? Working from something like that, I mean,
I'm not a technical guy in terms of bikes and machinery, but when you walk in and they pull open the drawers and it's just all the rental parts.
And they're automatic doors.
And, oh yeah, the automatic doors, yes, are
I
very
mean,
nice.
what?
Well, if you're carrying something, you don't
No,
have to press a
it's
button.
brilliant.
You just wait for it, and then
Yeah.
it's very good.
What sort of espresso machine is in there? That's what I want to know.
The hospitality has a very good
so the
espresso.
okay.
Yeah.
This is actually Honda-sponsored coffee right here that I've got this morning.
So, prediction for GP today then?
Tony Cairoli.
Cairoli, yeah.
Unbelievable as well, and I wanted to continue on that. It was his ride. 10 years ago I was here, 2011, my last GP. Tony Cairoli winning, then I leave for 8 years, come back, and Tony Cairoli's still going. I mean, the guy doesn't age.
I think we forget how long he's been doing it and how good he's been for such a long period of time. I mean, like you say, 8 years ago he was doing exactly what he's doing now.
Exactly.
And in motocross, that is not an easy thing to do. I mean, Mickey Carmichael's the sort of main one who you'd say retired early. Even Dungey's career was 10 years, I think, as a pro. It's the shelf life of a pro motocross rider is not a long time.
And to be that efficient throughout those years and results to really not change bar a couple of small injuries, I mean, consistency is unbelievable with Tony Cairoli. And when you watch him ride, his consistency on the track, it echoes his results, doesn't it?
I mean, it's a little bit of a tenuous link, but you know, to compare him with someone like Valentino Rossi, I think is very valid because you have two guys don't need to race, you know, have achieved enough, and they're oddly both going for a 10th championship this year. But something about the way they feel about the sport and the way they've been brought up just, you know, brings that longevity. There must be something in the Mediterranean Italian diet, I think.
Their personality complements how they ride and how they treat the sport, I think, as well. They bring a lot to motocross and superbikes in their own individual way and make it a lifestyle as well, but in a very humble way, I would say, both of those guys, which is fantastic. And obviously yesterday he was leading the qualifying race until the last, was it lap or 2 laps?
Last half a lap.
Half a lap, yeah. I missed it. I literally left to come down here and I missed it. And then Tim taking the win, but it was a great ride from him, coming not the best start and had to come through the pack. And, you know, he was kind of stuck behind a couple of people for a while. Then he managed to gap once he passed, and that was a great ride from him.
Yeah, I mean, Tim yesterday, he was fastest in free practice, fastest in time practice, and then to make it the win in the qualification race is obviously, he did get a little bit lucky with Tony crashing at the end, but still to be there, to be the fastest, he put in the fastest lap in that race too. He showed that he is quick on this track. Yeah, he needs to be able to beat Tony, and he needs, I think, to be able to start in front of Tony to stand the best chance of doing that.
That was a question we were going to ask, and we had a question from someone on Facebook Live asked us, what do you think Tim needs to take the next step with Cairoli?
He needs to start in front of him. It's obviously last round in Argentina, Tony had the DNF in qualification race. He gets 18th gate pick. Here, if he gets DNF in the qualification race, he gets 40th gate pick. And the start here is a lot harder. So in some sense, he's got lucky that he DNF'd in a round where there was only 22 riders in the MXGP class, whereas here there's 35. So just those little bits of luck, sometimes they make the difference in the season. And whereas now they're both starting next to each other, but Tim knows it. He knows he needs to get out in front, and he knows that's the best chance he has of winning.
Yeah, but what's interesting, and I'm not picking on you guys, but whether it was Calvin or your two 450 riders, none of the three got off that metal gate yesterday. It was like they had like grease on the rear tire. Like what? I mean, you know, you don't have to tell us the ins and outs, but it's like, I mean, you're saying the start's the most important thing. And yesterday, Tim was last one in the first turn. I think only his teammate was actually behind him. I mean, it was an amazing ride. He was fourth on the first lap. I was like, is this possible? Did we just see that right? But the start is so critical. So something has to change from qualifying race yesterday.
I think the fact, all three of them did have wheel spin on the line.
I saw other riders too. It wasn't just them. There were
other riders. Yeah. I don't know why that was on this gate more than any other, because that's the most I've ever seen spin on a line. But at least it happened in qualification day.
Yeah,
it happened on Saturday.
Did
it didn't
the testing.
happen. Hopefully it won't happen today. Hopefully they know what happened and they can fix it and get good starts later.
Yeah, so obviously Jeffrey Herlings, the reigning MXGP champion, he's such a threat to everyone, right? He's got this aura about him. He's a confident man. And at times, like, nobody can match his speed. At times. Other times, the other riders can. But with him being out with this foot injury, not knowing when he's going to come back to GP, I mean, this opens the door. The riders, right, they have to obviously be like, okay, Herlings is out. This is a massive opportunity. If there's one guy, one of your competitors that you want to be injured, he's the guy, right? You want to race everybody. You want to race them straight up. You want to beat them. But let's face it, with him out, it opens the door. And I feel like that Tim and Tony are both going, okay, this is my opportunity. And that Tony at his age, right, is definitely no spring chicken. Number 10 is right there in front of him. He's got 1 year to match Stefan Evert's championship record of 10. Your thoughts on that?
I mean, Tony Cairoli won 2 Grand Prix last year and Jeffrey won 17. But he was still the most consistent threat until Tim kind of got his act together towards the end of the season and got 3 times on the podium in a row. But, you know, I think Jeffrey, when he won his championship, said he'd never seen Tony riding better in his career, which, you know, is easy to say, well, that's a claim to boost my own profile, but it's true. I think Cairoli was riding brilliantly last year. And the problem with Herlings being out is that because he set the benchmark, for race speed and the intensity from the first lap until the last year, everybody's a little bit like reset their priorities now. Roman Febvre was perhaps the rider who most publicly made such a big investment in the winter to up his game. Jackie Vimon training with another rider, he made some big changes, and it seemed to work in the first round in Argentina. But now Tony he's got to hit pretty much the same level that he was last year at the age of 33, which is still impressive. But then you've got people like Tim, who I think is still the closest threat to that KTM sort of hegemony. So it's, I think Tony is still the reference because Jeffrey's not there, and when he comes back, he will still be there.
I think there's an interesting side story in this season. Stefan Everts has 101 GP wins, but it's Tony who's actually second in the list. Everyone
86.
Everyone assumes it's Jeffrey because everyone's like, when's Jeffrey going to pass Stefan? But the thing is, at the moment, obviously Tim's going to win all this year, so that he won't add any more.
So it won't be this year, but okay, go ahead.
Yeah, but maybe, but Tony can move a few GPs ahead of Jeffrey. He's 2 or 3.
Tony's
3 ahead.
84.
Herlings is on 84.
84, and so
84,
Tony would be.
And Tony's on 86.
So I mean, there's almost a sort of a side race of who can get to Stefan first. I mean, if Tony, obviously again, Tim's going to win these ones, but if Tony can win a few, then he suddenly puts himself a few ahead of Jeffrey, and then Jeffrey's now like, well, hang on a minute, I was meant to be the next guy to beat Stefan.
I think Tony's got another year on his contract as a KTM rider, but there's a lot of ifs. I mean, if he wins that 10th title this year, regardless if he gets to 101 or not, I mean, does he continue? With Jeffrey Herlings as well, I think he's got one more. Has Tim got one more year, HRC?
He's got an option of one more year, yeah.
Right, okay. So, in theory, you could have the 2 big hitters of this category still on for 2020. So, you'd like to think Stefan's record is in jeopardy.
Yeah, and we would be doing ourselves a disservice if we didn't say hello to Stefan.
Yeah.
He's had some health issues here lately, so we hope that you're doing well, buddy, and everything's good in your life. So,
well,
you're still number 1, 101, 10 championships. You're safe for the moment.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. Well, you're a legend for a reason.
I can remember in 2006, his last Grand Prix in NA when he retired. I mean, those numbers seemed untouchable, and Stefan's, I think, a pretty modest guy when it comes to his achievements, and he said, no record is untouchable. But, I mean, we were thinking there's no way anyone's going to get to that.
Well, and his ride, Stefan Everts' ride at the Motocross of Nations here in 2006, that final moto, like his technique and his style and how he rode the motorcycle, I was like, this is his last race? Did you just see what he did? It was unbelievable. How he he schooled the rest of the competition on this same track. It was one of, if not the most impressive motocross rides, certainly on the GP circuit that I ever watched live. So
that's quite a bit of a landmark event, because that 2006 Motocross of Nations was not the only first time that we had a race here. But if you remember, I think Ryan Villapoto won the MX2 category, but Tony Cairoli won the Moto. And Cairoli still cites that day as one of his best races. I mean, what was that, like 14 years ago?
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
So
but that tells you age. I mean, look at that. 14 years ago, and yet he won his qualification. Well, should have won, could have won, and could possibly win again today, and it's the same thing. I mean, it's unbelievable. But let's skip across the pond while we're on this note, because we followed the Supercross last night.
Monster Energy Supercross, yeah, it was interesting. If you think about the results last night, first and second in the 450 main event was a French rider and a German rider, both MX2 world champions at one point, and then Dylan Ferrandis getting the win in the 250 class ride. Obviously a former
first ever win.
Race winner in the MX2. So.
That's been coming though, isn't it? I mean, Dylan's been looking more and more likely to take that Supercross win.
Yeah, and I mean, he had a pretty big injury last year at maybe Atlanta, I think it was, Dallas, Atlanta, something like that.
Rounds,
yeah, and so him to make this comeback, it's just, I like the guy. There's just something about him. He's really loose. He's just, it was really stoked for him.
He was tiny, and he was a little, not chubby, because now he's tall and skinny and fit and everything. But
well, he's a professional athlete now.
Well, yeah, but he was winning races in one of the European classes at the time.
I watched him in 2008 at the Junior World Championships.
Yes.
He was probably 3 foot high.
And he was kind of just, it wasn't, I get puppy fat, I don't know.
He came, it was Jeffrey Herlings who won that year in Herder with Max Anstey. That was the main battle. And then Dylan Ferrandis was like 2 minutes back on a track in 3rd place. And then obviously history has shown, but he's gradually got better and better. And I think,
the European races, he was podium in only a couple of years later.
Yeah. One of the biggest shames for his career is the way he left Grand Prix, because it was Swiss Grand Prix. I think it might have been morning warm-up or even on Saturday. Crashed and broke his arm in a bit of a running with Thomas Covington, actually, and that was it. It's the last time we saw him on European soil racing in Grand Prix. But yeah, he's done fantastically in Supercross. But like you say, he has a little bit of that independent, sort of free-spirited approach.
Yeah.
You know, not too dissimilar to Christophe Porcel, you could say, but maybe a little bit more laid back, a little bit more, you know, maybe he's got a little bit of that wild streak. I think you need to make it in any sport.
I think, sorry.
Yeah, I think, I mean, if you take a young GP rider, you have to grow up really quick. I mean, Chad Reed came here from Australia. Traveling the world when you're 16, 18 years old, racing motorcycles, I mean, you have to grow up. There's a lot of responsibilities, and it's not just staying in your comfort zone. There's a lot of changes that happen. And like this year with the GP schedule, Indonesia, a couple races in China, we're all over Europe. It's definitely a tough schedule.
Jeff, I think I might be wrong, but I think there's only 7 points now between Cooper Reb and Marvin Muscan in the standings for 450. I mean, who do you think is going to take it?
So Marvin was docked 7 points last night. For jumping on a Red Cross flag. I believe the ruling is that he keeps the win, but he loses some points and loses his prize money. But he keeps the overall win, so he'll get the bonus from Red Bull KTM, but he doesn't get the points towards the championship. And so that's going to tighten things. I mean, it'll keep it where it's at. Tomac was 3rd, so he finished 1 position ahead of Webb, who's obviously your championship leader. So that's going to tighten up a little bit there. There's still so much racing. What would there be? 6 races left? 5 races left? But I think it's pretty interesting championship. It's going to come right down to it.
The last couple of rounds, it's been interesting. Webb seems to be managing the championship already, which might be a little bit soon to be worrying about the points, or maybe he's not quite ready to push it yet. Again.
Well, it changes. I can tell you firsthand when I won my only Supercross championship in I was going to say 2007, 1997. Once I became the points leader, now all of a sudden all the attention's on you, right, and the press responsibilities and all these things, and the pressure changes. And I was like, wow, okay, so this is what Jeremy McGrath has dealt with for 4 years. It was a different game. And if you looked at my season, throughout the season, I took a dip. I had an injury to my leg. I had some bad results. And then at the end of the season, I got it back together. So we're seeing Webb going, okay, when you haven't won any races, you're doing, you don't care about points. You don't care about anything except winning races. Then all of a sudden, you're the points leader, and you start thinking, okay, we're 7 races, we're 6 races, we're 5 races. So you start thinking about the finish line, and you're not there yet. And that is a very tough place to ride in. And whether it's MXGP or whether it's Monster Energy Supercross, the pressure that comes with winning the title is so immense. And that's why I think the guys that figure it out, like Villapoto figured it out, boom, 4 in a row. Dungey figured it out, he ended up winning 3 in a row. Yep.
I'm going to have to cut you off there, because talking about finish line, we're getting basically to the end of this because we've got racing going on the track. We've only got a minute or 2 left. I want to say a huge thank you to Adam Wheeler. Sorry,
Thanks,
we could
Georgia.
sit here and talk for blooming hours, couldn't we? I mean, we'll just, someone can bring us coffee, we'll carry on. But thank you so much for coming on. I know you've got work to do. Best of luck to you today. It'll be interesting to see the results. Jeff, we'll be back shortly in about an hour or so, but if you just leave your Facebook running, you'll be able to catch us later on today. We've got a few more shows to come up. Make sure you enter in to win for our big competition as well. The link is somewhere on the screen. Click it, put your info in. You could win one of 3 prizes, which we'll tell you about later on. The winner will be announced on the online entries next week. And if you're here right now, you can win some prizes here, sign up, and we'll be telling you who won that later on. So from us right now, we'll catch you later on, and thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Welcome back to the Fox 74 show here live in the paddock at Matterley Basin. Jeff Emig, my co-host for the weekend. We all know Jeff Emig. He has just been surrounded by people this weekend. How are you doing?
Well, it's been fantastic here. Surprisingly, the sun is out here at Matterley Basin. Racing's going to start here in
sun's
just
out
a
and
little
the
bit.
guns are out too. I mean,
Yeah, well, I actually took my jacket off yesterday. I had every layer that I had it on. But beautiful day here in South. Would you call this Southwest England?
South,
Yeah.
Middle South.
Something like that.
Well, I'm talking to someone. I haven't even introduced you. We have a very special guest. Like I said, we're going to be bringing you guests still. We have another couple of shows, and we'll be back at St. Jean d'Angely GP and Tuchenthal. But today, Gemma Harrison, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hello.
Well, let's talk about why Gemma is here and what you do. Gemma, you are the founder, owner, creator of the VC Camp, which is basically women doing badass things. I mean, that's wrapping it up. I mean, tell me all about you.
So I'm involved in an organisation called VC London, and we work really hard on events to get women to get into motorsports, different type of motorsports, but mostly two-wheeled. So everything from flat track to trials riding, enduro, and hopefully this year a bit of motocross with Fox as well.
Well, I mean, checking out any of your social media as well, it's so cool. You've got just the image of that badass lifestyle that many people, they don't have the confidence to get into or become a part of, but that's what you're encouraging women to do that. Become part of it. I'm coming to some of your events from now on because I think the whole program's awesome. But what got you involved in two-wheel sports, I guess?
It was a bit of an accident, really. I didn't grow up riding motorcycles. I mean, I grew up in the countryside, but didn't come to it the usual way. I started out in riding on road bikes when I was 26, and didn't have any of the women that I could ride with, and found a couple of friends that wanted to give it a go, and kind of taught them and realized there wasn't really an outlet for it, and we kind of put a post out on a little sort of joke social media account and asked any women that wanted to ride if they wanted to give it a go, and we would do some lessons for free, and we were just inundated with women from all over the country asking to start riding. And so then from there we were doing it in a little car park in East London, and since then, we've taught about 450 women how to ride. Some have gone on to race flat track. Some of them are traveling across America. Some of them are riding across Morocco on dirt bikes now. So kind of a system that kind of works.
Yeah, so I was checking out the VC London website, and there was a lot of street bike stuff on there, a lot of choppers, a lot of custom bikes. And now you're sort of dipping a toe in the motocross and the dirt world. So what's that? Where's the attraction there, and what's happening in that area?
Well, it kind of happened quite naturally. Like, some of the girls that were coming to us were involved in other extreme sports. So we would get, for instance, some skateboarders coming to us and saying, hey, I'll swap skateboarding lessons for riding lessons. And so we all kind of started to realize we were all a similar personality, and that there were loads more out there than we realized, all these women wanting to try it out. And so we got in touch with some different organizations. Like, there's a really great organization in the UK, the Dirt Track Riders Association, which is flat track racing, which is a smaller scene here than in the US. But we kind of started to hook up with them and put on women's days, and which turned into women's weekends. And again, just the reception
like
is
trouble,
massive.
Women weekend away and bikes. I mean, that sounds like a good time.
Yeah, and have you been influenced at all by what the girls at Atwild and Babes in the Dirt,
Yeah, sure.
Babes Ride Out and all that is in the
Yeah,
US?
we're
because
actually-
Anya and all the girls
yeah,
there
we're really great
have
friends with those guys.
Oh, cool, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're fantastic. We actually, with the gear brand, one of our Fox brands, Shift, we did an Atwild Shift collab, which
Yep,
you're probably
I got the
familiar
whole
with.
thing.
And so I got to meet all of the ladies there from that. And they've been fantastic to work with, and I'm seeing it now, right? So I've been in dirt bikes, motorcycles my whole life. I'm way older now, and I've just absolutely, I'm so impressed with the passion that you ladies have for the sport, and it's like I said, it was really cool to work with them on that project, and I hope I get to be involved, maybe with some coaching at Babes in the dirt and things like that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like, that collection is a bit of a landmark, really. Women designing motocross gear for women.
Yeah.
I don't know if it had really started happening before, because, I mean, until recently, there was not really very much choice when it came to gear. It's all pink, you know, like, you don't always want to wear pink, and there's 2 options when there's, like, 50 options
Well, there's
for
a
guys.
pink and a purple, and it usually had some black in there, right?
Yeah,
So,
purple.
That's my biggest struggle. I'm actually coming round to the pink and the purple. But I used to hate it, and I hated how everything was branded. You're a girl, you need to wear pink, and now with, like you say, the collaboration is extending, isn't it?
Yeah, but Fox Racing, I forget. I mean, it was at least a decade ago when they were the first brand that really said, okay, we're going to make some women-specific fit motocross gear, and they still make a line of motocross gear, which you obviously are hopefully going to be wearing. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely an influx of interest from the female ridership.
Absolutely, and it's really important that huge brands like Fox are really like putting a lot of weight behind women's events and really putting power behind women getting into this, because my belief is that if the pool at the bottom grows bigger, the pool at the top grows bigger too. So you're going to see a lot more women competing, a lot more rounds added on to the women's like motocross. You know, it's going to be like, you know, I think it's a bit of a mushroom effect.
Well,
yeah, definitely.
I read a quote somewhere. I don't know if it was on your social media or website or something. And help me out here, but it's like, I don't want to be known as a women's motorcyclist. I just want to be known as a damn motorcyclist.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
of course.
And that kind of seems like your attitude on these. I mean, I know
Yeah,
we've
for
talked
sure.
a lot of women specific stuff here, but I thought that was an interesting quote. What was that all
Yeah, I
about?
mean, we put on women's events because there's a space that needs to be provided, because in the past it's clearly not a system that works, because there's not many women in motorsport and there are not many women competing. So to be able to create an environment where you have lots of different entry points into motorsport, it's just going to ultimately mean that you're going to get lots more at the top. They're going to come in, and then, you know, out of every 100, you're going to maybe find 5 that are good enough to start competing. So I also believe that you don't have to start when you're young. I think
I was about to touch on that. Is you said you didn't grow up naturally in 2 sports. I didn't at all. I literally rocked up to a dirt bike race and haven't left. But the confidence, I think, level for women is different. Obviously not all, but for me, I can poodle around on a bike and I enjoy it and it's fun. But you're not going to go to a big track and do that. I wouldn't, because I would feel, you know, under pressure and I wouldn't like it. But this is giving people the opportunity to do it in an environment that they don't feel pressure, and they can learn in an environment where there's other women that are...
Yeah, just do it for a weekend with your girlfriends. Come ride, and then, you know, next time you might feel brave enough to go to the local motocross track and ask, you know, hey, I've given it a go, what's it about? But sometimes you just need that little push or that little space.
So you're a new mother, fairly new. Stan is... how old now?
He's 1.
He's
yeah,
1.
He's
so
1.
Not that new, I guess.
Oh,
so he's got motorcycle
He's not
toys.
stopped me. He's not stopped me at all. He was 6 days old when I signed up for my first flat track race.
Yeah.
That was I had some time off. Like, I had a couple of months off at the end of my pregnancy, and then 6 days after he was born, signed up for flat track racing and never looked back.
What? There's not many females to appreciate that out there, but 6 days after having a baby, you were flat tracking.
Well, I signed up. My first race was a couple of weeks later. So.
You're a badass. That's unreal.
No, but that's the stuff that women should be doing. You can do it. There's nothing to stop you. You just need a couple of good friends, like, to sit in the pits with them. And
what I've noticed with the girls from Babes and all that is the amount of positive reinforcement and support that women give other women in this space. But with us guys, it's like everyone's a threat, and even your best buddies, you're kind of like I'm going to help you up a little bit, but I'm not really supporting you 100%. And
but that's racing and riding, though,
being
isn't
around the ladies from Outwild and all that, it was just mind blowing. And I have some friends that ride dirt bikes, some girls, and they're just so supportive of each other, and it's like, I'm like, what are you guys doing? Why are you talking to each other that way? You're supposed to be cutting each other down right now, and it's totally different.
I think, no, that for me, I enjoy riding a bike, but it doesn't mean I want to go and race, but you're creating that opportunity of doing that. I don't have a bike license. I need to do that, so I need to come. In which case, I mean, tell us about the event you do in August.
So Camp VC is the biggest event that we do. So it's based out in Wales in the Brecon Beacons. It's from the 2nd to the 4th of August this year. It's our 3rd year. And on site, you can try everything from trials riding. Even if you've never ever ridden a bike, we have beginners lessons. So you can come and ride mini dirt bikes, learn how to ride, and then on the afternoon you can start enduro riding or trials riding. We also have skateboarding. We hook up with vans and people like this to kind of put on lessons.
Gear, or do you have that?
No, we have everything. So Fox help us with gear. So they have like a gear hire situation where you can come and get a full kit for the weekend. So it's kind of open season on whatever type of motorsport you want to get information about. And we hook up with women racers. We work with a great organization called Days in the Dirt, which is run by Leah Toklov. She's the only female pro flat track racer in the country, and she teaches girls to ride, so from absolute scratch. So you kind of got these superheroes teaching girls to ride.
Where do people find out the information? Is there a website, online? How can people?
Yeah, we've got
I'm
a
sure
website.
there's people sitting at home right now going, that sounds like my cup of tea.
Yeah, our website is www.campvc.co.uk, and tickets launch at the beginning of April.
Perfect. I'm going to be looking at that, and if I'm free, I'm definitely
teaching
coming.
you to ride.
I'm up for that. You're not huge in the motocross scene at the moment, but being here, we've got a really cool video coming up talking about style. When you watch dirt bikes, whether it be on the TV or in the flesh, what's the one thing that you see that you think, man, that's cool?
With the kit, it's massive in fashion now, isn't it, motocross gear? You see loads of people in East London walking around in motocross gear, and you're like, I don't think you've got a dirt bike.
Justin Bieber, he poses in some gear.
So it's funny.
Yeah, well, we went around the crowds and we asked people what they thought was cool about dirt bikes, whether it be scrubbing, whipping. Let's take a look at what they said.
Past and present.
Past or present?
P-Sean.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm going to reserve my judgment until a bit later, and I'll come back to you because I haven't seen all of them yet. I can't decide.
No worries, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I have a rider, Stefan Robini.
Robini?
Oui, in the European Championship.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Stefan Everts.
Stefan Everts. Yeah. Stefan Everts?
Yeah.
I wouldn't like to say I'm here to see Tommy Sell at the moment.
Past, Dave Thorpe. Present, Herlings.
Well, Tony Cairoli, of course.
Tony. What about you, sir?
For today or of all time?
Either or. Well, for both. Who do you think for today?
Today, definitely Tony Cairoli.
And your favourite rider of all time?
Ben Townley.
Dan Watson. Yeah.
Brad Anderson.
I think Tim Gajser.
Herlings. Yeah.
Jeremy McGrath. Me?
Gajser.
Gajser, definitely.
Stylish. I know. Quite like Anstey.
Thorpe. Roger Harvey, past. Present, I would say Herlings got to be, I would think.
Herlings, thank you. And you, sir?
Stefan Everts and Jeffrey Herlings.
That is a question. Stylish. Probably this man stood here, Pichon.
Pichon? Yeah. Pichon, thank you.
There's different people for different things. Puzar was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Jean-Michel Bale.
Can't put a finger on one specifically.
Probably them. And then like now everybody has their own lot of things, like obviously Tony looks pretty cool. Jeffrey for his, like I say, they've all got little things that they bring to the table kind of thing, but yeah, that's really it.
All right, thanks Jamie, cheers.
Oh, stylish. I don't know. I would say Jeffrey Herlings, but he's not here, so yeah, Jeffrey Herlings.
Rob Meek.
Do you know him?
Yeah, he's over there, look.
That's him.
Yeah, Rob Meek, yeah.
In MXGP or MX2?
Either or.
I would say, you got to say either Ben or Prado.
Got to be Cairoli.
I say Stefan Everts past,
Present can be MX2. Prado.
Ooh, well, we're going to have to go Jerry McGrath, just purely because of the testing and the affinity with Maxis.
I think if I go back, Graham Noyce.
Graham Noyce?
Yeah.
All right.
In the 80s, yeah.
Tony Caroli.
Tony?
Yeah, I've been really stylish. Excellent rider as well.
Cairoli's a stylish MXGP rider.
Tony Cairoli.
Cairoli, of course.
Caroli? And you, sir?
Cairoli.
Yeah. Do you have a favourite?
Max Anstey, definitely.
Anstey, thank you.
Most stylish rider.
Yeah, who's the coolest?
Jeff Herlings at the minute. I don't think nobody can argue with that.
Tim Gajser.
Gajser, thank you. Hello. Can you tell me who your favourite rider is?
Anstey is.
Anstey, thank you.
Go Anstey.
Thank you.
Oh, that little girl, I was just saying, she was so sweet. Go Anstey. She didn't catch it on camera, but she was doing a little fist pump next to the track. When it comes down to style, Jeff, obviously you were the king of style, and you still are today.
Oh, stop it.
I mean, what for you, if you're looking at the GP scene, who has got the style?
Well, for me, obviously what you're wearing makes a big difference, and certain gear companies just have got it nailed. But on the bike, like I've always been just, enamored with a rider that has a great style. And there's some champions out there that, to me, you look at their style on the bike, it's just horrible. Like, they just don't look cool. And then there's other guys that they just have the flair. They just have that body language and everything. So I don't know if you were talking about that, or you're actually talking about gear and helmet paint jobs and all that.
I think style of, it's Steve's
but still,
on the bike.
Yeah. Well, but back in the 90s when we had like mullets, our hair was like you have your hair, you have your hair coming out the back. If you had long hair and it's kind of flying out,
it's
like this guy
back,
Mickey
actually.
Diamond did back in the days, that was when I was a kid, I thought that was so cool. But I've never had long hair.
Do you think there's like a difference between today's riding style between the GPs and in America? Do you think because of the way the tracks are, do you think the style changes?
Yeah, I think the riders have a little bit different technique and style, and you see the difference between, let's say, pure motocross and the MXGP or Monster Energy Supercross. Yeah.
Well, speaking of style, there's one guy who has had a lot of style, and we caught up with him yesterday. Gosh, my days are rolling into one. Was Tim Gajser, and everybody here live in the paddock, because that's where we've been, and we will be in France and Germany as well, have been entering the competition to win. You might have to hold it up with me. This Tim Gajser jersey, signed by the man himself only a few minutes ago. And Gemma, I think you are going to have to pick out a winner for us. And it would be amazing if the person that wins it is here.
So these are on-site winners. These are on-site. Okay.
That's a drum roll.
Let's go.
Drum roll. And I mean, already he's cool, or she's cool, because of the name. George Turner? Yeah, George Turner, he's not here, but George Turner from the UK. If you can hear us somewhere out there, you have won a signed Tim Gajser jersey. We will contact you via the email or come by and find us if you are somewhere out there. But we also have the online. If you are watching on Facebook right now, you can click the link to win one of 3 prizes. Jeff, remind us of those amazing prizes people can win.
You can win a pair of Fox. I don't know why they call it a pair of goggles, because it's just one goggle.
That's a really good point.
I've never thought about that. You can win some Fox goggles. It's just one goggle. Anyway, you can win Fox View goggle.
I'm mind blown right now.
A set of comp boots, or the grand prize is an autographed Tim Gajser V3 Fox Racing helmet and a complete airline kit. So top of the line airline kit in your size, color, choice, all that. But
awesome.
So pretty rad. You can still enter. Click one of the things that you see on your screen on Facebook right now.
And continuing throughout this whole period of time, we've got the Facebook going online. You can rewatch a lot of these programs that we're doing. We've got more exclusive content that we've been shooting that will be going up online throughout the week. And obviously back at St. Jean d'Angely and Tuchental, so keep your eyes peeled. But going back to Gemma, Have you been to many motocross races or a GP like this?
This is my second. The first was last year. The first was Matterley last year, so this is my second motocross race.
The sun is shining. It has been chilly, but now it's turned into a beautiful day. Do you follow it at all? Like, would you have any idea of who you might want to win, or?
I don't actually follow men's motocross. I actually follow women's motocross more.
Yes,
I'm super guilty.
No.
Courtney Duncan's one of my favorites. I think she's the most incredible girl.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, and
She
also
popped by
Ashley Filet, but
yesterday.
she's finished now. But Courtney Duncan all the way.
And obviously that's another thing to bring up, isn't it? Is women's motocross races continuing, Jeff?
Yeah, I've always been, really impressed. The professional women. If you think this is competitive on GP and MX2, watch when Fontanesi, Lancelot, all the girls were going at. Some of the best motocross racing I'd ever seen was for that championship.
Man, they're fighting for it because they're making history at the same time. So it's even more important in some ways. So.
I mean, yeah, Livia especially, she is in the Book of Records, which is fantastic. But we do have races coming up soon. Jeff Emig, you're going to be in the booth doing the TV, because after this, if you tune into the MXGP-TV.com, you'll be able to watch the races live. Jeff, how is it in the booth when you're up there?
Yeah, so I'm going to join Paul Malin for the MX2 and MXGP races here later on today. The competition's going to be great. I'm really excited to see how the track changes and see who can make the adjustments here now that the sun's actually out. It's starting to warm up a little bit. And these championship battles, we're in round 2. There's still so much racing to go, but it really feels like this being the first race back in Europe, it kind of feels like the first race of the season again.
It does. We talked about that earlier, but I think we're going to have to start wrapping this up because the races are coming up soon. Gemma, it's been great to have you here. I'm excited and I want to get really involved in your program, and let's get more people involved because to me, that's the environment I want to ride in. So thanks for coming on the show.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And what's the website they can visit?
It's www.campvc.co.uk.
Camp VC, guys, you need to check it out. Jeff, you're heading off to the booth. Thank you for everything so far, and we'll be back later on today as well. But for that, should we say goodbye? Let's get this racing going.
Thanks, Georgia. You did a great job. Can we get a round of applause for Gemma and Georgia?
Yay, there's one person, thanks. Here's two. Hey, well, we will be back later on after the races, guys. Get comfortable, enjoy, look back if you want to rewatch any of these videos, and we will see you later this afternoon. Bye-bye-bye.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Fox Racing, or the 74 show for Fox Racing here on Facebook Live. Georgia Lindsay had to depart, so she's already on vacation. I'm taking the lead from here on out. I'm joined by two of my dear friends here, Austin Hoover from Fox Racing Europe and Eric Pernard, who needs no introduction. Wow, what a weekend of racing we had here for the Motocross Grand Prix in Matterley Basin in England. Thoughts real quick from you guys?
Yeah, what a day. When you look at the schedule, when the schedule first came out, and you're like, oh man, Matterley in March.
In March, where it was snow. There was snow here. On this date last year, there was snow on the ground. Yeah. So we got very, very lucky with that.
Yeah, for sure. So I've been joking around with everybody that we brought the weather from California and
Florida.
Yeah, and from Florida. And
Same.
Yeah.
Two Floridians, California.
Yeah, exactly.
No, so it was amazing. The racing was simply amazing. I don't remember being that warm at Matterley any time of the year, for the last several years. And what I will gather today is how fast those guys are going. And the track being so big and dry, it was amazing. Amazing riding, amazing racing.
Yeah, and just overall vibe for the weekend. So the first round was in Argentina, Patagonia, and this kind of, to me, seems like a kickoff, and almost seemed like the first race again. It's the first race back in Europe, for mainland Europe. All the teams have their rigs and all of their normal setup. But what's you guys' thoughts how the 250 class shaped up, and then the MXGP also?
Well, I think I'd like to start, with Tim. Whoa. that first moto, you know, he got off to a great start, started to put a gap on Tony, and then just, you know, almost bought the farm there.
Yeah, that was a massive crash that
That
Tim
was
Gajser
a
had.
scary crash. It goes well in the compilation of crashes that team has had the last few years, but this one was definitely a scary one. Very grateful that he didn't get hurt. I think all of us are.
Yeah, but then for Tim Gajser to come back and win that second moto was so impressive, and to have to make the pass for the lead, kept the lead between him and Cairoli at about 4 to 6 seconds. It kind of just went back and forth to there, and at the end of the race, those two former world motocross champions dropped the hammer. They were going at it, and Cairoli closed up a little bit there within about a second on the last lap, but Gajser held him off and won the race, gained a little bit of points back in the championship.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that Tony is known for, you know, to really turn it on there at the end. So I think, you know, Tim rode an amazing race and had a nice gap on him. But then, you know, Tony turned it on, Tim turned it on, and they were really going for it there those last couple laps with the track just, you know, totally beat. Like we were standing up there in the skybox, and you know, we all, I think, were pretty happy to be on the other side of the fence today. Yeah. But you know, like you said, those guys, they really put it to him, and yeah, for Tim to hold on for the win was super impressive to come back after that big crash.
Yeah, just I think Tim was the fastest guy of the day, without a question. Two generation of riders, you know, one in his 20s, one in his 30s, and you know, it's just not exactly the same. You know, they don't have the same vision on the race. Tim just wanted to win everything at any price, and Antonio was very smart, as always.
And the top French rider from your home country, Gauthier Paulin, has this new ride on the Yamaha. He was third, which was a very, very impressive ride. But we were talking just before we started the show here, is that he was 54 seconds off of the lead with that. I mean, he rode awesome, and then you go, wait a second. First and second were like in a completely different league. Do you think that Gauthier, is there a track, or do you think this season he'll be able to close that gap?
I think Gauthier is still basically fine-tuning the bike and himself on a bike. He's a very, very smart rider. So I don't, I think, you know, you points. It's just a matter of points. So I'm not sure he actually pushed it to the limit. What difference does that make when you're third? Yeah. If you are 5 seconds or 10 seconds behind.
But I think also you got to keep in mind, you know, next week we go to Valkenswaard, where Gauthier has had a lot of success at that race. He's won there, and I think, you know, so these guys have that feeling at certain tracks, and you can say that, you know, he definitely has that feeling at Valkenswaard. So it will be interesting to see, you know, if he can close the gap on those guys there.
And then the 250 class, Prado, who won the opening round, has the injury, and he misses round 2 with an injury, and he's the points leader. I mean, that's just devastating, right? But Thomas Kier Olsen on the Rockstar Husqvarna looked like he was completely ready to step up and dominate. He won the qualifying race on Saturday, wins both motos here on Sunday. Your thoughts on the 250 class?
It's very, very strange to see the two world champions missing. We are at round 2, and we're missing Herlings and missing Prado. So, I mean, it has to be quite, you know, sad for KTM. At the same time, they're still leading the championship in a 450 class, you know, an MXGP class. So, you know, they were ready. They had a plan B.
So what were you guys' thoughts here? I mean, Steve Dixon rolls the dice a little bit. They decide to put this race here at Matterley Basin on this date. And like we talked about the weather, how we ended up having beautiful weather here on Sunday. But the overall excitement from the crowd and the vibe of the weekend?
Yeah, for sure. I think, you know, there's a lot of excitement around the series this year, and you know, like you mentioned before, being the first race in mainland Europe, yeah, it's round 2, but it really kind of feels like round 1. Yeah, I think there was a good vibe around here. The crowd was super into it, and you know, you have no excuse not to come out here when it's you know, sunny and beautiful. So yeah, I mean, sure, you have like Eric mentioned, you have the 2 champions missing in both classes, but I still think there's a lot of excitement, and there's a lot of opportunity for the other riders that are out there. You know, these guys are hungry, and in the MX2 class, I think it's exciting to see some new blood up front. You know, Tom Vial has obviously been super impressive in these first 2 races.
Amazing.
He's getting some amazing starts and putting himself in good positions. Henry Jacobi was also really strong today. It was good to see him running up front. So yeah, it's a lot to talk about, and you know, there's a lot of racing to go. So it's a good setup for the year, I think.
Agree with Austin. The 250 class is wide open. There's so many talents. I would be embarrassed to say who's going to be world champion at that stage. I think there's so many guys that can do so well. And you know, coming back to UK, I think motocross was invented here, and it shows. You know, the fans are super cool, very educated. You know, I mean, they really know the sport. I love England. I love English people. It's a great GP. I haven't missed it for many, many years.
Well, we had Roger Harvey on the 74 show yesterday, and I asked him, I said, you know, where did the term motocross come from? Because he was around then. He might have been younger, right? Well, obviously he was younger, but he was, yeah, but he was around then when this form of the sport was scrambles, right? Yes. And then it made the transition into motocross, and late 60s, I believe, is when that term was coined, and now to see, I mean, Eric, even in our time, I mean, we first met around 1988.
Yep.
I mean, think about how much this sport has evolved. When you look at Motocross Grand Prix, how much it's evolved just in our time.
Absolutely.
And now the look of the paddock, the look of the overall race. I mean, it's really quite spectacular.
No, it is. It is. I was at my first GP in '76 as a kid, and it changed my life forever. You know, kind of like the first Supercross in '79.
And you're from Marseille area?
No, I'm from the Alps, pretty close to Geneva.
Oh, the Alps, okay.
Yeah.
So what was your first GP then?
Payerne.
Where?
Payerne, Swiss GP for many, many years. It was like very famous. It belonged to Mr. Robot. Funny story. The freestyler
gotcha.
was owning the land, you know. So it's it has changed a lot, and I totally agree with you. I was just telling my wife earlier how much it's going faster. It's amazing. You know, those bikes are flying now on the tracks, and that's a question we can ask ourselves: are they going too fast or not? You know, I mean, after seeing.
Yeah. When does it end? Right.
Yes, exactly. After seeing Team crash, I was thinking it was going too fast at that second. But you know,
if we slowed the sport down, would it change the excitement level? Right. I mean, this is a conversation we could have, you know, over a nice bottle of red wine sometime,
yes,
and try
absolutely.
to solve all the issues of the world. Right. We'll figure out Brexit along the way.
Yeah.
We'll figure all this stuff out. So.
I mean, slowing down is definitely safer, but I don't think it's what the rider, the racers, and the fan wants. You know, I mean, it's. I mean, you can maybe slow down by the track, because most of the tracks here are very wide, very fast, so the bikes are expressing themselves. You know, it's going very, very fast. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, you know, to speak to that a little more, I think, you know, the evolution of the modern rider is also, you know, these guys are so talented. You know, I remember my first race was not in 1976. It was the '93 Orlando Supercross.
I was there. I didn't win either. I don't even think I probably didn't even make a podium that night.
I might bum you out a little bit with this, but MC made a little bit of an impression on me that night. And
for sure, it was 1993. yeah, he was. Yeah.
But yeah, like I was gonna say, you know, the evolution of the modern rider is amazing. You know, it's so impressive. We all get to work pretty closely with these guys nowadays, and you know, to see the way that they're training, and you know, the way that they look at a track is totally different now, because you know, the style of riding is just different. You know, even from your generation, Fro. Not to age you, my friend, but
it's been it's been like 20 years. So one thing that's interesting, obviously we're here on the Fox Racing 74 show. If you think about like what type of apparel Roger Harvey would have worn in the 60s, like it would have been leather, like suede, like leather,
full on leather,
like some sort of, and now like the fabrics that we use with the Fox airline kit, right? That's our top of the line, like 4-way, 18-way stretch. Like it's super light. The jersey is so light, and that, you know, 40, 50 years ago, they needed this sort of protection.
That's
yet
right.
the bikes were slower.
Yeah.
And the evolution of what the rider needs as far as the protection is so much different. I mean, the airline jersey it doesn't weigh anything. We gave one away earlier
No, I know.
today, and I
Yeah,
picked it up. It's like, wait, this thing is, the fabrics are so amazing, and that the evolution of that is because the athleticism of the riders. I mean, you watch a rider back in the days, right? All they were trying to do was keep from getting bucked over the front of it. But nowadays, I mean, you watch Tim Gajser on the 450 today, as much as he's moving around on the bike, and that we now produce these you know, the Fox Instinct boot that just has this amazing range of motion, but yet has stops and protection in certain places. And then the gear has so much stretch to it because the rider is all over the place now.
Yeah.
Compared
When
to what
you,
it
when you
would've
ride
been.
with Flex Air, you feel like you're riding naked, basically.
Yeah. The
Fortunately,
first time
you're
that I
not.
wore these
Yeah.
fabrics with our Shift brand, I wear the Shift brand, the blue label.
Yeah.
And it's like I couldn't believe how well my knees could move. Like it was just a completely different feeling.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. I think the key word that you said there was athletic, because if you look at, you know, other sports as well, you know, the fit of equipment has really changed. Even if you look at, you know, say American football players as well, the difference in you know, athleticism and the way that the product needs to perform now is really drastic. You know, the change. So I think it's really shown that we as a sport, and you know, proud to say that we as a company have really adapted to that, and you know, been continuing to be the leaders of providing the guys that can help equipment that can help them perform just as good as, you know, the teams are with the bikes. You know, we have to look at our product that way, and you know, it's something that, you know, I know for a fact we're working on every day.
And to add on what Austin said, I really wish all of us that we would encourage riders to protect themselves a little bit more. You know, like really chest protector should not be an option. You know, I think we have enough injuries in the sport, and we have all the products. And I know a lot of athletes are sacrificing, you know, comfort for safety. And we have to be watching out, because it's not good to have a rider hurt. It's never a good, pleasant scene. And you know, I think at least chest protector should be part of the mandatory. That's my opinion anyway. So that's
yeah. And when this sport began, I mean, you know, we've all heard stories from the old timers, and guys are smoking cigarettes in between races, and they were kind of like these like hellion tough guys. Like that was the riders that would go out and win the races, right? Whoever's the biggest, the strongest, and the sport has changed so much now.
But we're going faster.
We're going faster, but these are professional athletes that some of these guys, because they're small and because they're fit, maybe they're not big muscle guys. Really, is that guy like maybe the fittest guy out there? But for sure, what motocross athletes go through, other athletes highly respect what they do, you know. And so I'm really proud of how the sport has evolved that way. I'm glad that I'm retired, because the way that these guys train, there's so much hard work and dedication that goes into it, and sacrifice. And I'm like, the 90s was great. The 90s to motocross was like what the 60s was to rock and roll. I had a great time, and now these guys are just training their butts off. So I'm glad I'm in the broadcast booth and on the 74 show.
It's because of Ricky Carmichael.
Yeah, it all comes down to Fox rider Ricky Carmichael. He decided to change everything.
He ruined it for everybody.
He did. He truly did. We were having such a good time in the 90s, and then he decided to start training and change everything. But unfortunately, I had retired at that point, so I didn't have to deal with it.
He definitely killed the fun, I think, and you know, those Sundays and Mondays when you get back from the race weren't quite the same, thanks to Ricky. But you know, at the same time, he's really, I think, someone that we can look to that really began that change and has gotten us, you know, kind of started that turn to get us to the level that we are now.
Ricky and Aldon Baker.
Yes.
Changed the world.
Well,
really.
And it, you know, it's not just the performance on the bike on race day. It's the ability to withstand the bumps and bruises, and then also recover so that you can do it again next week. The fitness level that these athletes are at is just incredible. And so I applaud all of the athletes that are out there. I mean, having to ride these machines these days at the pace they did, and then to go through the bumps and bruises and then do it all over again is really something quite special. And they provided just amazing entertainment for us today. The racing in both classes was fantastic. I had a great time here, and we're going to be back again here with the Fox 74 show. We're going to be in France. We're going to be in Germany. We've got the contest link that's somewhere here that you can click, and I'm looking forward to doing it again. Any final thoughts from you two?
No, we just love motocross. It's good to be here, and hopefully to be here for another 20 years.
Yeah, same. I mean, it was my first race here. Went to a couple Supercrosses earlier this year, but my first GP, obviously I didn't go to Argentina, so definitely got the chills. You know, those first couple laps, and you know, you hear the bikes again, and you know, I was talking to some people around the races today. It's just like, man, this just doesn't get old, and you know, I don't think it ever will for any of us, and we're gonna keep doing this. So yeah. Looking forward to the rest of a great season, and we had a lot of fun here this weekend, and can't wait for more.
Well, outstanding setup here, so congratulations
We'll
here.
go
Thanks
Euro,
for this
Euro.
amazing setup that we have. Great to see you, Eric. Thanks to everybody here this weekend on behalf of Georgia Lindsay, myself, all of our guests. Thank you guys for watching the Fox Racing, the 74 show here on Facebook Live on the Fox Racing page. Don't forget to enter the contest, and we will be back again in France. When's that, about a month? End of May. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.